Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. I leave us the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. I leave us the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. I leave us the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. I leave us the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. I'll leave us the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. I'll leave us the circle 7.
Islamism without the schism. On a rise upon the 7 and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. But let us come forth and call our Consul General of Texas that he may come forth and open up the way. Islam. Dr. Marvin Edwards Bey. Islamism without the schism.
Islam and gratitude. Yes, I'm Dr. Marvin Edwards Bey, Consul General of Texas Consulate. Rising, giving all praise to the great God of Allah. Highest honors to his prophet, our prophet Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. Give honors to our theocratic government, Moorish American government. Give honors to this class. Well, I give honors to Iguan, of course. Give honors to everything that is Moorish. And I'll open up the meeting now with our Corinthian Moorish American prayer and constitution. Ya Allah emnuheru mekuneteru. Ya Allah ebheteru. Ya Allah ma'at-heru. Ya Allah hoteperu. Ya Allah heru. Ya Allah ma'at herkuti. Ya Allah awajeh dejuti. Ya Allah petem sutet. Petem heru. Ya Allah bamanduti. Dal hedges way up to Ali. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 In transliteration, O Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Now I'll read the Constitution, the divine Constitution of Moorish America. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of North America. The bylaws. Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh, and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of North America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a North American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of North America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slave holders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The North Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of North America. North America must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of North America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful husband. You must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All North America must keep their hearts and minds pure with love, and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of North America. And more, this meeting has now been opened according to Act 2 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Now I will turn this meeting over to our goddess that will be reading, I believe it's the Grand National Secretary of the State, who's reading the chapter of the week, Islam.
Islam, gratitude.
Gratitude.
First of all, I want to rise, giving praise to our Creator, our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to Act 1, to our host, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shedo Amenti El Mohedjed Shepsuel, for hosting our Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class, giving honor to our Consul General of Texas, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay, for opening up our meeting according to law, and giving honor to all on the panel and to our family online. Chapter 47, the obedience of children towards their father. From the secrets of Allah, let man learn wisdom and apply to himself the instruction they give. Go to the desert, my son. Observe the young stork of the wilderness. Let him speak to thy heart. He beareth on his wings his aid sire. He lodgeth him in safety and supplieth him with food. The piety of a child is sweeter than the incense of Persia offering to the sun, yea, more delicious than odors wafted from a field of Arabian spices of the western gales. Be grateful to thy father, for he gave thee life, and to thy mother, for she sustained thee. Hear the words of his mouth, for they are spoken for thy good. Give ear to his admonition, for it proceedeth from love. He hath watched for thy welfare, he hath toiled for thy ease. Do honor therefore to his age, and let not his gray hairs be treated with irreverence. Forget not thy helpless infancy, nor the forwardness of thy youth, and indulge the infirmities of thy aged parents. Assist and support them in the decline of life. So shall their hoary heads go down to the grave in peace, and thine own children, in reverence of thy example, shall repay thy piety with filial love. Islam, Islam, Islam. At this time, we want to turn the meeting back into the hands of our host instructor, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shadwa Menti El Mohajjed Shapsuel. Islam.
Islamism without the schism. But let us rise upon the seven and give all praises to the great God Allah, our Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj, Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Grand Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. And I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Mohadi Shabazel, and my ancient committee and high name being the same as Dr. Shedawal Menti El Muhajjed Shepsuel. And indeed, there's a powerful measure that, we have to bring forth to our Moorish kin this morning in regards to dealing with our Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. This is a powerful measure that we have to bring to the manifest, and we invite all of our people, so that they may be able to get some divine insight, so to speak, when it comes down to dealing with what it is that we demonstrate here to teach our people. I want to give honors to the scribes and on the manifest, also fellow scribes. Our beloved brother Bati Bey said something about his internet was acting up, so praise be to Allah. We will move forward and have the measure brought forth, as our Moorish kin bring it forth. So it's going to be a powerful drawing this morning, as always. A very informative measure, and we just going to open up the way. We had a powerful drawing last week, and we want to keep bringing measures to the manifest, because this is a subject matter dealing with the language. We have come so far, having the tools that we have, and basically we have made a lot of progress, family, especially again when there's nobody out here teaching in this particular area as we are teaching it when it comes to dealing with our particular people. There's no one that is taking the time out to teach our people about the hieratic writing. Many of our people believe that this is irrelevant, and however, our people are sadly mistaken, because once you understand this knowledge, you're able to tap again into all of that other information that has been hidden from our people, and we, like I said, we got papyri upon papyri. You often hear me say it all the time that I got a whole bunch of it over here, in general. We here to teach the people and give them the knowledge of that in which they would normally get, and we giving it to you for free. We ain't charging you for it. We giving it to you out of love, because to us, the greatest aspect of value is that our people become knowledgeable, of that which has been hidden from them, and once they have this special knowledge, no one can take it from you. So if you are sincerely and earnestly tuning in, I promise you, you will not be disappointed when it comes to dealing with this information that we have here. Like I said, it's a wealth of information, very vast amount that we have to offer. We couldn't exhaust it, in this lifetime if we wanted to. It's a whole lot more to be learned, and like I say, you hear me say all the time, I have these things in my possession when it comes to dealing with different papyri. We've touched on it here and there. We're gonna keep giving our people insight on it, and make sure that you get everything it is that you need in order to have some comprehension, of what it is that we are bringing forth to our people, family. It don't get no better than this. I would say it don't get no better than this, because if you go anywhere else, like I say, you ain't gonna have people out here that's giving this information up. They trying to hide it from you. They want to keep it a secret. Some people want to wish it away and act like it don't exist. All types of stuff going on when it comes to dealing with this information, because most people feel threat. They feel like this information is for some reason going to expose the fact that they don't really know what they say they know. So that's what we've been dealing with. That's the dilemma, that we've been dealing with when it comes to dealing with our people in regards to dealing with this information. So it's just a powerful measure to be here in this new era and time and uplift fallen humanity. This is the age of information, the information age, as people will say. And so we're going to bring it to you, as that's our duty and obligation, because we are told we are here to teach our people their nationality and divine creed. And this is the portion by which we are teaching divine creed. See, there's a difference in browbeating somebody over the head with religion and divine creed. And we want our family to understand that. We want to make sure that our family get that, because if not, you'll think that we over here demonstrating the same thing that the average church, is demonstrating. A little religious corporation or organization over here and there. And we don't want our people to have that is special thought in mind, thinking that we here to demonstrate like that, because we are not. Again, we here to teach our people the truth, if anything. So it's just a powerful drawing. For those who don't know what the Medu in Kemet is, we always like to reiterate the Medu in Kemet is what we call the Egyptian language. And the Egyptian language is the language that was actually spoken by the people. However, when you get into, the information that has to do with what we call, Medu Netta, even though they use that sometime as a blanket term, but Medu Netta itself means the language of God. And so when you use that in reference to dealing with the anaglyphs, or what a lot of people like to call hieroglyphs, we're talking about the language of God, the language of the ancestor, the language, that is being communicated, through your divinity, as opposed to being a spoken language as we talking right now. So once our people is able to comprehend that aspect right there, they'll be able to get it. We trying to put it in the aspects of where you can follow what it is that we are building upon, so you don't get the two confused, because that's what's really been going on. Most of our people, they become confused and mix the two up, and next thing you know, they got more issues than they should have had in the first place, so to speak. So what I'm gonna do at this particular time, let me do this right here real quick. I want to allow. Oh, there you go. There go Brother Bati Bay right there. He done came in here. He done got his phone right. Praise be to Allah. The scribe is here. Islam.
Islam.
Man.
Islam. Just had some technical difficulties with the modem.
Oh man, boy, you know Rome ain't built nothing to last.
Islam.
Gracious. Oh, I want to mention this too, and I mentioned it recently. I was just talking to our Grand Secretary of the State about it. You know, the prophet say he's gonna make the European tell the truth. Now we can expect him to go off of what he done researched about the Moors, but this is a good book to put in the library too. I put one out there the other day. You know, this is a good book to give a bridge to our people. You know, to introduce them. I would say those who are always thinking that it's the Moors saying this, you know, they can actually go into this and see that this ain't stuff we making up. And this is an actual scholar here. And he got a bunch of different information out here. Where's that demonstration at? Look at that. Same stuff we've been teaching for the longest now. And his name is James W. Lee. And he's giving into the history of the Native Americans being the Moors. Everything we done talked about Moors. Can he talk about George Washington when he said that he was going to take the fez off of the head of the Moors? And if we did that, that basically, there it is right there. When he talked about swearing the death oath right there. Look at that. That's crazy. A European doing more research on our people than them. See what it say? If we were to agree to take the fez and the turbans off the Moors' heads and remove the sandals from their feet and enforce severe punishments and also swear a death oath and faithfully not allow anyone to teach the Moorish children who they really were, right? And who their forefathers were, and only allow the Moorish children to be taught that they were truly Negroes, black people, and colored folks. 200 years from the day, the Moorish people would not know their nationality, nor the national name, right, of their forefathers, and also they would not know the ancestors which they are descended from, basically. Yeah. This is a European here now. This ain't the Moor saying this here. I done told y'all that 100 times. It's a European over here. I'm just showing you. And Prophet Noble Drew Ali prophesied, so we can't help but emphasize. He said, I'm going to make the European tell the truth. And boy, did he make him tell the truth. You know, so, I mean, it's something else. Look at that. Same stuff that I've been talking about. I just got this word. Remember we talked about the scimitar rotating around the polarises, the pole star, and the first thought. Look at that. That's just too much. This man is literally saying the same thing I said, and like I said, it ain't strange to us because, like I said, it's a prophecy. You know, the same thing that we got in the Exhuming of the Nation that our chairman been teaching her, you know, about a Kubalon. This is actually dealing with, you know, Eden. Look at that. That's something else. Our people out here rejecting the history. And look at the name of the book now. Y'all gonna let this man outdo y'all like that right there. And he ain't even of your national hue. You gonna let him outstudy you. And I'm talking about the people out there that think that this Moorish thing is a joke. You know, we can't let it go down. Like, I'm talking about he going all the way over there in the Europe, you know, showing who the Moors are. Everything in here. He's showing all the princes over there, the British Moors, Moorish law, more teaching. You'll think that it was an Asiatic that wrote this book the way he going in here. Look at that. He talking about the British Moors. You know, like I say, I got this work. It ain't like we don't know this stuff here, but it's just having somebody outside of the paradigm to give that history, you know, because they think all the time when they hear this is the Moors, you know, making this stuff up. We just said this. Well, here go a whole scholar over here, you know, coming from their side, you know, and he talking about the pyramids and everything off in here. The thing is, we got to get it together and start dealing with our own history. Look at that. I put this in there about the sister, the Moorish sister, dealing with the Statue of Liberty. Where is it? Right here. The one that actually had the phenotype of my mother, he got her up in here. Look at that. Same information. Come on now. You can't get this information nowhere else, family. You know, we gonna give it to you every time we get it. We ain't hiding nothing from you. We gonna keep giving you the truth every time. It wouldn't be right if we didn't give it to you. You talking about the Mayans, the Aztec. Oh, he even got a nerve. Since a lot of y'all think of the game, he even got a nerve to talk about Lumeria up in here. Same stuff that we got right in the Book of Fire now. Now, do y'all believe us? Master got their seed over here talking about the Moors and their ancient history. Do that count for anything? Since y'all don't want to listen to us? You know, I figured that out a long time ago when it comes to dealing with our people. A lot of time they don't want to hear it. They don't think it's real until Rome say it. We can holler it from a mountain and they still ain't gonna say nothing. But Rome said, and all of a sudden, you know, they get to dealing with it. That one was talking, he went deeper into the Big Dipper as well. Trying to find that one measure here, and then I'm gonna pass this thing over to the scribes. There's so much information in here. Just dealing with the Moors in general. He talk about how the Moors arrived here first in America before the European. He talk about how the Native Americans that are called the Indians are also the Moors. The indigenous Americans. There's no such thing as a black person. A lot of people gonna get upset about that one right there. He talks about how he said in this particular portion right here, there's no such thing as a black person, right? He say the entire Moor nations were whitewashed by labels that had nothing to do with their skin color and their heritage. He said, why was South America renamed Latin America and the natives forced to speak Spanish and not their native languages, Mexicanese? Now, you know, they actually had some Mexicans and Spanish people out here saying that now too, that they ain't no Latin Americans. It says because they were conquered. It says in their legends, history, and even language buried for centuries, while the lies persist today. Moors were labeled, classified, identified or described as Black, Negro, Colored, Ethiopian, West Indian, Native American, Native Indian, American Indian, Amerindian, Aboriginal, Black Indian, Latino, Mexican, Afro-American, African American, First People, First Nation, Original People, Asiatics, Indigenous, Paleo, Pre-Adamite, Octocon. Yet the Webster's Dictionary 1828 says the Native Americans were copper colored. You know, even to this day, the brown skins of Iraq, Iran, and Syria and North Korea are being hunted down with drones and eliminated with immunity from persecution by the white man, and has mass killing machines and euphemisms inserted for the invaders and the conquerors, with terms like new settlers and Western expansionists, Argonauts and prospects, etc. It's a European saying this right here, telling you you are more and you ain't a description, you know. And he got the pictures up in here to demonstrate it as well. He said they were the Lenape. I talked about the Lenape. Al-Nubi, as he asked, he said the East African, African, Dinka people that largely dwell in Egypt, the Sudan, Nubia, the Kush region. We done talked about all of this. They were the ancient Egyptians, Comedian Tamarican people, the Amaru, and followers of Amun-Ra. Oh man, the Sagamores, original people, Moors of the West, the Westerners of the land. You know, the tribal nation, indigenous, aboriginal, Octocon peoples of the Americas in the world, and the United Nations Indigenous People Organizations, IPO, you know, speaks on these special ones he's going into. So, yeah, I mean, it don't get no plainer than this right here. It don't. I mean, we can just go on and on and on with this demonstration as we look in here. And like I say, we already know this information. You know, we already know this information. Oh man, a lot of people was asking questions about the Canaanites and Moabites and what Noble Drew Ali taught about the Canaanites and Moabites. Look at what it say here. A branch of ancient Libyan race, the Amorites. It's a race of Semitic origin inhabiting Canaan before the arrival of the Israelites from Egypt. Pardon self. It says the Canaanites, one of the main branches of the great Semitic family, inhabited in Palestine, the Mauritanian sea coast in ancient times, including Jews and Phoenicians and Carthaginians and Moabites and Amorites and Idumeans, the Philistines, force and a warlike people with remarkable genius for religion, which has greatly influenced the modern world. Ethiopia, an ancient Berber tribe settled in Egypt. You know, a Berber is just another way of saying more. The way it's a misnomer, basically. At least 5,000 years ago, now represented by the Berbers of Mauritania. Homer called them blameless because he knew so little about them. See Nubians. And this is actually coming from the History of the World. That's Holmesworth's History of the World, the first volume. That's what he's quoting. You know, so he talked about the 20 Canaan place names. Canaan in North America, including the Canaan in Arkansas, Canaan in Alabama, Canaan in Connecticut, Canaan, Florida, Canaan, Georgia, Canaan, Indiana, Canaan, Maine, Canaan, Mississippi, Canaan, Missouri, Canaan, New Hampshire, Canaan, New York, Canaan, North Carolina. He's showing you that there are Canaans that are mentioned in all these places. It go on and on. Canaan, Virgin Island, Canaan, West Virginia. You know, Canaan, man, they just all over. Old Canaan in the New World. You know, that's another book that one got. I mean, like I say, this is a son of Rome telling you this. And like I say, I already said it a couple of times and done discussed this on numerous occasions. But it's always good to use the hammer of repetition when we come up with more information, like I said, to aid and assist our family. Like I said, we already familiar with this information. So the information in and of itself is not a shock. We already had this in our archives, but it's always good to have a consensus, because some people think that we are the only ones have this information again, and that this is stuff that we just come up with. We make it up, we create it. But now that you see somebody else teaching this, especially, this man is not a Moor. That's another thing. This is not a Moor that's putting all this information out here. So you got to honor one just from the fact that one would even do that type of research and take the time out to emphasize it. This ain't the only book this one got. And he has his measures that he demonstrates. But once you are able to accept the truth in general, you'll come into a clear conception of the work that you called to do. You'll do your own research. You know what I mean? That's the main thing. We don't even limit ourselves to just other individuals. You got to do your own research. Once you do your research, you can be what you know and not what you told. You see? So yeah, it just goes on and on and on in here with the different measures. And you most definitely got to get the Book of Fire. That's the one that's going to bring it on home to your family. The Exhuming of a Nation. That's really once you get that, that's really all you really need. The Exhuming of a Nation, written by my chairman. I'm going to show you that right there for the people that don't know what that is. Let me pull that up, because he has spoke on all of these things right here as well. Here we go. Let me get this here. Here you go. If you ain't got this one here, this is our study guide right here. This is our study guide. And like I say, 700 pages of straight fire. The chairman talked about all of this stuff. He lay a foundation. If y'all don't have this in your library, I keep telling you, you can order it. You can get it from him. All you got to do is reach headquarters, at 4346761555. Get your copy, your autograph copy of the Exhuming of the Nation. In fact, most of the people that are writing books about the Moors, Europeans included, when they quote in their bibliography, this is the book that they see as the authority, that has to do with speaking on the Moors. This is the first and only true autobiography wrote on the life of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the Exhuming of a Nation, family. We've been doing this right here. We ain't just started. We also give honors to this particular one, but this is also not a Moor. But this one, we was talking about this the other day, Anwar Majid. This is actually one from Morocco, speaking on the Moors as well. He even talked about Prophet Noble Drew Ali in here, but he gave an extensive history about, how the Moors were tortured, and y'all have no idea on what was done to our people when Moorish Spain fell, but he go into all of that and show that basically we are the ones who are the inheritors, are the heirs of, this particular place after it fell. You got to get hold to these things. These are all tools, of information. This thing right here is powerful. It's powerful too. And I'm actually going through this one right here as we speak. I ain't went through all of it, but I love the way that he went in here and spoke on the many different aspects of how the name Moor is applicable from the ancient time all the way up into the modern time. And this is not a Moor. As far as dealing with, he say we all Moors, but this is not a Moor in the sense of the words that we demonstrate, as far as how we go into the essence. This is just somebody else outside of the paradigm writing about the Moors, and giving a grand history on the Moors, and letting it be known how the Moors have been suppressed. He give you the reason for those who be asking the question, why is it that we don't know anything about the Moors? He actually give that meaning. He gave one description here, for example, on the breakdown of the words as well. He said, while blackness and Mohammedism was stereotype, he said, well, these some good books right here, Sister Sakina. Very powerful. The fourth king of Magi, who was a prophet in the prophet dream of Daniel. Well, yeah, there were many Magi, Queen Sister Sakina Ra. There were many Magi's, and there were Magi that actually was during the time of when they speak of our brother Yehoshua or Jesus, and there were Magi just all over the place. The Magi's were a part of the Cushitic priesthood, basically. They move all over the world. These were your high priests, basically. There's a whole bunch of them, you see. But yeah, when we go into this particular measure, this one was speaking, he said here, and also, if you don't know, the seal of the Magi is the scimitar and the star too, which is the flag that we have. That's actually the seal of the Magi. Let me see right here. If you were to go here, let me see, type in Star of the Magi. Normally they would put this up here. I'm gonna see if they have it here. If this is actually an old expression. See if they put it up here. Well, I actually have it in my my archives. I'm gonna show it to you real quick. I'm actually trying to put together some work on the book. I'm actually trying to compile and get these little books done. Let's see here. Let's go here, open this up real quick. Not that one there. That ain't the one I'm dealing with. Here it is right here. Okay. Let me scroll down because I did put a portion of this, and y'all seen this picture before. But I was actually, I insert certain things in there to make an extra emphasis. I was just talking about this. The European had pointed this out in our book. Dealing with the Kafesh, the symbol that we have. See, this is the star of the Magi right here. Right there at the bottom. It's Omani Padme Hum. If you can see that, that's the Hindus have their version of it. I was just showing, how our flag, the symbol of our flag, scimitar and star, it has always been there. It's always been there. It's part of many different cultures. This is the tetragrammaton expression of it. Notice the scimitar is beneath the star. When Noble Drew Ali brought it back, he brought it the scimitar above the star. But nevertheless, that's symbolic because man is the star himself, and you forge your scimitar, along the Nile, which is synonymous with what we call the spine in physiology. So there's a lot of mastery in that. This is actually a shield, a Moorish seal from the medieval times. In Moorish Spain, you see the scimitar above the star. We see it in that particular state. And we also see in the book of the Chambers, trying to get this thing to spread without doing a lot of flashing. It tell you right here, when you look at it, it's called the Kafesh. The constellation of the scimitar. That's what Kafesh represent. They say sword, scimitar. This is the constellation of the bat, a Big Dipper. And notice in the book of gates. And I put this collage together to show you, make it plain till you see they got the scimitar in the ancient Egyptian teaching and the star. You know, this is a symbol that Noble Drew Ali brought back to the Moors. This is actually the crowns that are for the God man and God woman of the Orisha. This is for the man. You see the scimitar on the top. Then you see the star right here. That's the union of man and woman. You know what I mean? So when we look at this symbol, it's a very universal symbol that always represents the cosmos. See the constellation of Meskheti. I showed this. Is nothing wrong with using the hammer repetition. You know, so when you look at our flag, you know, and I'm just showing it, like I say, from all different cultures, you see a lot of people always ran their beak talking about the prophet didn't bring that symbol. Curtin Bay bought it. Well, this is the prophet symbol right here. And if you look, the prophet has it, and this is when he came from the Pan American Conference. That's what this picture, you see that? That's a spinning jump ring. Anytime you see this symbol with the circle 7 on the other side has always been scimitar and star. So you see me blow it up in the way like our chairman will tell you the original one was. With the 5-pointed open green star, Prophet Noble Drew Ali didn't bring the closed star. You know, and if you look here, I tried to blow this up as best as possible. You know, you can actually see the goddess, you know, sitting right here. Right here next to it. Look at that. Right here around her neck. And what I did, I tried to do it as best as I could and try to blow it up. That's her sitting next to the prophet. And it distorted out a little bit, but you can see the silhouette of the scimitar right there, and obviously the star right there in there. You can actually see it a little better, even though it's blurred out here, but the bigger it come, it kind of go out. But she got it on her neck next to the prophet, and Kirkman Bay ain't nowhere around. You see, so that's why when you see us demonstrating that scimitar and the star, you know, that's why we demonstrating it. Come straight up out of Kemet, family. That's the seal, you know, it's called again, you know, to the Magi. It's referred to as the star of the Magi in their particular form and way. Nevertheless, it represents, man, even when it comes to the family of Muhammad, you know, we have the example that's given in Sufism, you know, which we gave. That thing just would not stay where I wanted to stay at. But here it is right here. You see, showing the symbol of man in esoteric mysticism. That's the tetragrammaton, the same one I showed you a few minutes ago. Jibril, or the angel Gabriel, which was a man, you know, was the one who brought Muhammad his scimitar. And then he had what he called the Pashtin Pak, which represents the 5 purified one. That's Muhammad, you know, Fatima, Ali, Husan, and Hussein. This is the son of Fatima and Ali. Ali represented the gateway of esoteric knowledge in Islam, which Sufis, you know, also inherited, you know, from there as well as Kemet, you know. So there's some Kemetic roots there, and that's one of the reasons why Prophet Noble Drew Ali received the attribute when he went into the East and he was on his way back home. You know, the Ali was added to him because, you know, whether we know it or not, a lot of those who are in the region of Mauritania, you know, that was established, the kingdom, the Islamic kingdom that was established later, like the Moravids, the Almowahidun, all these different people were actually said to be of the bloodline of Ali. So basically, the Fatimids and all of those were descendants of the line of Fatima and Ali. So they inherited that same knowledge. It's said that Ali was the gateway of knowledge. That's what Muhammad said about him. You see what I'm saying? And he who seeks knowledge should basically come through Ali. And there are a lot of those who are of the Shia bloodline that will tell you, they'll tell you that Prophet Noble Drew Ali, you know, is truly a prophet. So yeah, we just wanted to show you that right there since we spoke on the Magi, you know. But nevertheless, Also, I want to show you this right here too, since I got my screen shared. And we're going to get to our scribes in a minute. You know, we always want to make it plain to our family, because even though I may be able to say and speak these things, I like to show you, because our people from the show me state. You know, they ain't just here to listen to you, you know, talk. They want to see it. And so that's my job, to show you. This is what I was showing y'all earlier. This is the European that wrote that information about the Moors, the book that we was talking about. Look at that. Same thing that I've been over here telling our family. It is generally held that the word Moor is defined as North African Berber, 14th century, from Old French, Moor. It says from medieval Latin moros, Latin morus, meaning inhabitant of Mauritania. These are just different people adopting the word through their language. You know, people don't know, oh, this person called you the Moors. This is Latin. No, the Latin just adopted the word in their language, and they expressed it that way in their language. But that don't change the fact that the natives call themselves by this. And hold up, let me go back here, this demonstration. So it also said, which stems from the Greek moros, thought to be a native name. When they say native name, they talking about the people originally having it themselves, right? But this is what they called it in Greek. This is what they called it in Latin. But it was still referring to the inhabitants, you see, of Mauritania, ancient Mauritania. Yet it is very unfortunate that many neglect to trace the term's etymological roots further back. And that's what the problem is with a lot of our people. They just go to the dictionary and say the word Moor mean this. Here's the European telling you. And he actually quoting E.A.R.S right here. You know, he didn't put that here, but in another part of his book, he do put that. That's another European that was talking about the Moors. So this is actually an excerpt. I know this because I read E.A.R.S works. It says, yet it is very unfortunate that many neglect to trace the term's etymological roots further back. And that's the problem with our community when it comes to this word Moor. They neglect to trace the term's etymological roots further back. They just take the dictionary and say the word Moor mean this. I like to go into ancient sources. I like to go back to the very first definition before they start changing it. You see, I don't care about what they done watered down. Most of our people like to take the watered down definition and then they cherry pick, and you deal with some selective researching, and then you try to misguide the people on the definition that you find. Shame on our people. But it says, again, yet it is very unfortunate that many neglect to trace the term's etymological roots further back, as language did not begin with the Greeks and the Romans. How many times I have to tell people that? Nor did the term Moor. Okay, so all them people that believe that lie that the term Moor came from the European, here go a European telling you that it didn't. I've been saying it for the longest, but since you ain't gonna listen to me, maybe you'll listen to him. And so we must look further back to find its true source, which brings us to the Phoenician term Mahurim. You see how far this word go back? This is the word Moor. When you trace it back, though it take on different changes, you can trace it all the way back to the mother continent. You can't do this with the word black, though. Try tracing the word black and see if you're going to find the word black among an African tribe. But we ain't talking about the definition of the word black. We talking about the actual word black. Try to trace that back to the mother continent and see if you can find that English word black over there. You can't do it. So that's my challenge to anybody that think this word Moor is something to play with. You know, let's put your word black, which is a European word. That is really a European word. Let's put that up against the root, you know, of dealing with the Moors and see who can trace them further back to the mother continent. And the one that lose, they got to become, you know, that which is of the other. I bet you a lot of them don't want to deal with that reality. So they say Mahurim means Western. And that can be ultimately linked to the Egyptian M&R. Now, when I tell them this, they say this pseudo. Europeans saying the same thing I said. Mir and Mar, Mehru, and Mu. I mean, I teach this all the time. You see, this is what you call consensus in scholarship. And more than likely, when I do research, because I always go to real research, I don't put my own stuff in there. I'm giving you the source when I give you the information. All you got to do is research the word. It says, according to the online etymological dictionary, which is of 21 different sources. You know, etymology deal with root words. So when it referred to these words, it's talking about the root. It say, we read this for the etymology of the name Moor, North African Berber. And we know Berber, again, is a misnomer. That was a name later given by the Arabs. So, in other words, the Arabs defined the Moor as a Berber. You see? But they were actually known as Mari. But it says late 14th century from the French, more from ML and Morus or Morus, which they going back over those same definition they gave up here. Inhabitant of Mauritania, Morus, perhaps a native name, again, right? Which is the name of the indigenous inhabitants. Then they came over here, you know they're going to do this. They cognate the word Moros with black. Not the word Mari or Moor, but this is a description of what represent the Moorish people. This is not a nationality. This is a description that they are given as Marus, and they are tracing this word Marus back to the name Moor, which trace back to this root in Kemet, Mir and Mar, Mehru, Mu. You see, being a dark people in relation to the European, their name in the Middle Ages was an synonym, which is for Negro. This is the Europeans gave that definition again. That ain't what they call themselves. The Europeans start calling them that. In other words, this is how they letting you know the people they describe as Negroes is our people. We don't accept that term Negro. They said it's used indiscriminately of the Muslims as well, Persians, Arabs, etc., but especially those in India. So they use the word more for them. I told the people that. They thought I made that up. You know, he even quoted here, if you notice the second definition of the etymon, the name Moor means Berber, which is one of the native ancient race names as well. The word for Moor. It says the Negro laws of South Carolina, y'all heard me quote them, reads as such term Negro is confined to slave Africans and ancient Berbers and their descendants, right? And he was just emphasizing that they are calling these people that are ancient Berbers Negroes, but they really Moors. You know, so, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I mean, it don't get no plain in that. And this is coming from a European, which also makes Prophet Noble Drew Ali even more on point, because he said that he gonna make the European tell the truth. And we know Prophet Noble Drew Ali is working from the plane of soul, because he said that he would be working from the plane of soul. This ain't no spookism. We know our ancestors are still working with us from the plane of soul. That's why we were given a soul, that we may function upon the plane of soul. Every teaching in Africa teaches this within their tradition, being able to communicate with the ancestors. The European later came on calling them ascended masters and so forth and so on. You know, we have to do this right here, family, because this always give our family that are new to the channel some insight. So it's always good for us to go back, you know, into this special measure. You know, this term more predated al-Islam. It predates Prophet Muhammad, unbeknownst to many of our people. They don't even know that. You know, so yeah, just dealing with that aspect alone, family, that aspect alone should be enough to wake our people up, but they don't believe it. You know, we talk about Kemet, and we go to dealing with Kemet, they say, well, how you gonna say that the Moors and the people in Kemet is demonstrating the same thing? How you gonna say they're the same people? Because everybody that's seeing, when it comes to most of our people, they come from the Sudan. Who were the people in the Sudan? This is Tarseti, this is Nubia, this is Kush. These are the people that created the civilization of Kemet in what we call Upper Kemet. on the map, they would see that as the south, but really that's Upper Kemet. Lower Kemet is at the top of the map. That's where your Hyksos begin to come in at, and your admixtures. And they came from the north, you see? So for those who don't know, I always go back to this clip here too, where you had a brother that was from Africa, because you had people saying, well, the Africans don't believe, that they Moors and so forth and so on. They don't teach that. And a lot of people don't know some of our African brothers, are not knowledgeable of their own history as well. And this is our good brother right here. And I always use this clip right here. This brother was debating. Brother Tom, listen to this.
We can't hear anything more.
Okay, Islam. Let me stop it real quick here. Okay, I got to reshare it and share my screen real quick right here, and then add the audio. It said the system audio was sharing too. I've been seeing other people having this problem too, Morris Ken, where they share something and it don't be sharing their screen or it don't be sharing the audio. Rome might be playing with their stuff again, but they ain't never built nothing to last. So let me see. You hear this?
For both of y'all to answer that.
You hear that now, Grand Secretary of State?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gratitude.
Question. I'll repeat it. We'll start with Sheikh Abdul Azim first. Moor is a BC term.
Right.
Islam is an AD religion.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Okay. If we go back in time into the ancient Egyptian, and we go into the Egyptology, we find that the Moor of Ani, which is a high priest, that's the word Moor. We don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that because those are my ancestors. But some people, they consider anything as BC as Jahiliyyah, what they call ignorance. So they only want to deal with what came after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
I like for both of y'all to answer
this
that.
Is an African brother, and we are not taking the content of this brother Tahaka Bay, as our own. We want to put that disclaimer out there. We ain't stealing. This is just for informational purposes. He was debating this brother on Islam, and so that brother Ismail Bey asked him, about this term Moor. It's a BC term, and so it came before even Christ. You seen Tahaka agreed, when he said it. So they weren't in disagreement, and this brother telling you these are his ancestors, which are our ancestors as well. But he say there are some people who like to teach that anything that came before Islam, because he a Muslim, is considered Jahiliyyah, the state of Islamic ignorance. So this is the way the Arabs try to phase out us teaching our own history and culture. You see what I'm saying? They don't want you to talk about, that, because you have to get into the fact that Ishmael would be a descendant of who they call the Egyptian, which are the Kemites as well. And you get too close into that, now you realize that the real Arabs, wasn't even the modern look of the Arab that you have now. They wasn't pale at all. You got to go to talk about the Cushite Arabs that inhabited that land, or the Cadmonites who was there before, these particular ones had came there. So, he made reference to a Moor and the high priest of Anu. You hear me teach this all the time. I've went over that measure over and over and over again. And I've showed it to our family. Showed you that Moor is the ancient name that connects to Amun-Ra. I showed many different sources on this, and from different scholars, not from the same people. But you can't make this stuff up, family. If everybody is saying the same thing, even the people, the children of your oppressor, that's what you call consensus in scholarship. You see what I'm saying? That's what you call consensus in scholarship. And last but not least, as I was reading here, I like that right there. Brother Noble Bryan said, Brother Commission, when Kemet was in his prime state, wouldn't you agree that the English word black didn't exist at all? That's exactly what I'm trying to tell our people. It didn't exist at all in that time. That's why I say if somebody would have come and forth with me, and I cast and they cast, meaning I take the term more, and I say, all right, I'm gonna take this word more and I'm gonna trace it back. I'm gonna strip it down to consonants, and just take it out, all the vowels, and just have M and R. And if I trace that word back, I'm gonna be able to go back to the mother continent. But if you do the same thing with the word black, if you were to take the letter A out, which is the only vowel in there, and try to trace that word black back to the mother continent, you ain't gonna be able to do it, because there is no word black in the African language. Again, we're not talking about somebody looking at a word Kemet and saying this word describes, the land. We ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the actual word itself in its root. When you strip it down, you ain't gonna find that in Africa. You see? And our people, I don't know why they feel like they have to hold on to that special measure so much when we know the European gave it to us. It come from John Blumenbeck, and if people don't know who that is, I have to go back to show you that right there too. When you go into that special measure and understand that this was the individual that was with Darwin, this is who created the 5 race theory, family. The 5 race theory in making you a black man, our people don't understand this. And so they begin to try to argue. You trying to educate them on something that they don't know, you see? And then when you try to show it to them, they think you attacking our people. No, family, you just don't know it. Accept the fact that you don't know it and you being educated. Stop being stubborn. You see, and go do the research on what is being said. We ain't making this stuff up. We ain't gonna never deceive you. So here it is right here. This is the man, and this is dealing with scientific racism. This is your guy right here, family, who originated, John Frederick Blumenbeck. He the one that came up with this stuff. See this? May the 7th, this is May 11th of May, 1752 is his birth. January 1840. He was like 20 years before Prophet Noble Drew Ali was born. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali was actually more than that. But it says was a German physician, naturalist, and physiologist, right? It says an anthropologist. He is considered to be the main founder of zoology and anthropology as comparative scientific disciplines. He was one of the first to explore the study of human being as an aspect of natural history. His teachings in comparative anatomy were applied to his classification of human races, right? Of which he claimed there were 5: Caucasian, Mongolian, Malayan, Ethiopian, and American. And he was a member of what the modern historians call the Gottingen School of History. So, this is the guy that came up with the concept of your black man, your white man, and all of this right here, family. You see it right here? This was this guy. See, he said the Caucasian race or the white race, Blumenbeck was the first to use this term for Europeans. He was the one that called them white first, and he included the Middle Eastern, South Asians in the same category. The Mongolian and yellow race, he included as East Asians. The Malayan or the brown race, he included as Southeast Asians and Pacific Islanders. Unbeknownst to many, a lot of our people were in these places before a lot of these so-called yellow and brown people were there that he talking about. We were there too before they got there. So the Ethiopian or black race, including all sub-Saharan Africans, American or red race, this term come from this European. He created that. So why are you holding on to it so much so and trying to redefine it instead of calling yourself by the name that attach you to the land? We ain't trying to teach you. When we say the word more, we ain't talking about no religion. You see, the word more in and of itself, you know, is not confined to religion. It has to do with the land. Once you comprehend that, you'll stop fighting against the term and realize this is the term that attach you to the land as the indigenous inhabitant. Then you ain't got to be running up on somebody's plantation. Or did I say reservation? Because it's on the corporate governance as well. That's on the federal charter. So the Native Americans are not as powerful as you think they are. They on the federal governance. This land more puts you in position of owning the land, family. That's what we keep trying to tell you. All you got to do is look this stuff up, and they think I'll be making it up. You know, when I say that this is part of the land, all you got to do is go right there to the same law that the European quoted, 1740 Negro Act. And it goes in here to tell you on how they basically chattelized the people and making them slaves. So I can click on either one of these, but I want you to get the full gist of this. You hear me quote this all the time. Look at this here. That way y'all think I ain't making it up. This comes from the European law, the status of the Negro and his rights and disabilities. And they actually quoting that same thing that I just read out of the book that the European wrote. But to go further into that, it says the term Negro is confined to slave Africans. You see, and then they put in parentheses, ancient Berbers, the ones they took into slavery and their descendants. They say it does not embrace the free inhabitants of Africa, such as the Egyptians and the Moors. In other words, they saying these ain't Negroes. Egyptians ain't Negroes. Moors ain't Negroes. You see? And then they go into who they use it descriptively, or the Negro Asiatics or the Lascar. These are the people of India right here. You see, so they saying that this particular measure is not confined to these ones. They even talk about, you know, the people of India right here. You know, how, you know, they regarded as free Indians, and, you know, but there are terms where the European mix these things in together, where they would tell you the Indians are the Moors. And so in my closing, I'm going to read this right here real quick, and we're going to pass it to the scribes. And that's coming from this particular work here again. This is the book that's not written by the Moors. This is actually written by, again, a person that is from Morocco. Now, let me show you this right here. In fact, I'm going to show you who he is so y'all can see. This is not a Moorish American or one that is pushing themselves as being a part of the Moorish American nation. But this one gave a grand history here, family. You know, it's important that we show this. I'm gonna use this hammer of repetition until we beat the truth here and make it a part of every part. And this is so you can do your own research. This is the author of this work, Anwar Majid. You know, we don't discriminate on where we get the information from. We utilize the information to critique, you know, all of that which is out here now. So listen to what he has to say. And he really go in on how the people was tortured, the Moors of Spain, you know, how they was ostracized, and how he give you the reason why they tried to hide the name Moor. It's in this book right here if you want to get it. I'm showing you sources. I ain't showed you none but references. I always do this. Even though people try to act as if I ain't giving you no sources. They want to use the term pseudo. He's pseudo. Y'all know what that word means. Pseudo means liar. So anytime somebody calls somebody a liar, the burden of proof is on them to prove that they lied. So thus far, everything I said, I done showed it to you. You know, you can say I'm lying all you want to, but the general opinion of men ain't gonna never alter the nature of the truth. You see, you can call me a liar all you want to, but show some information. And most of the time, people that make those claims, they can't show you no information. They just running their beak, like my chairman would say. You see? That's all they're doing. They run their beak. Commission talking about this, and that's a lie. But you don't never see them put no information up there. You don't never see them do it because they can't do it. And then when Sultanate or somebody asks them, will you get in there and have a discussion with this? Oh, no. No, we ain't getting in there with him because they already know what's going to happen. They don't have information. Their job is to be detractors from what it is that we're trying to teach the people. You have to wonder and ask them who sent them. So listen to the definition that this brother that I just showed you, Anwar Majid, that's his conclusion. We all Moors, right? Listen to what he said. He said, while blackness and Mohammedism was stereotyped as evil, Renaissance representations of the Moor were vague, varied, inconsistent, contradictory. As critics have established, the term Moor was used interchangeably with such similarly ambiguous terms as African, Ethiopian, Negro, and even Indian. So it's saying that the word Moor has been applied to all of these terms. They have been used interchangeable with the word African, Ethiopian, Negro, and even Indian. Now let's talk about this. Africa represent to people in this time, they say it represent country, right? We call it a Mexim. You know, we call it a Mexim, or we call it the Garden of Eden, a Kubalan. And the Moors was the ones who named it a Kubalan. If you go do the research, the word Akubalan, which means Garden of Eden, it was the Moors that named this. You see? You think, okay, they think it's a game. They think I be making this stuff up when I say it. We're going to share the screen one more time here. Like I said, we're going to be playing about this demonstration. All you got to do is do this right here. You go here. Just type it in. You know, if you go into this area, and that's the name, Africa they're looking at. I'm trying to see the Kubalan. There it is right here. The original name. And this is a random place right here. You know, and it'll tell you. It is right here. I don't even know who these people are. I'm just going in a random website. In the Kemetic history of Africa, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop writes, since y'all like to quote Diop, right? I love our elder because he spoke highly of our ancestors. The ancient name of Africa was a Kubalan, the mother of mankind, the Garden of Eden, just like I said, right? See, that's how confident I am in what I say. I know when I go type it in, all you got to do is go and research what I'm saying. Instead of being prejudiced against the Moors, go look it up when I say it. And when you look it up when I say it, you're going to see it's going to check out just like I said. And I don't know why that thing had changed there. But anyway, it says here that the ancient name of Africa was a Kubalan, mother of mankind, Garden of Eden. A Kubalan is the oldest and the only word of indigenous origin, meaning it was named by the people. It was used by the Moors, the Nubians, Carthaginians, which are the Carthaginians, the Ethiopians of Africa, the Kermit. Misnomer adopted by almost everyone today was given to this continent by the ancient Greeks and Romans. So the misnomer, when they say Africa, you see what I'm saying? A lot of our people don't like to accept this, you see, but it was the Romans that was using those terminologies. You see, it was the Moors who named this place a Kubalan. You see, it was the Moors that named this demonstration this. You see, and there it is again. In Kemetic history of Dr. Diop also connects the revolution of the present West African countries to have originated from ancient Kemet. So the West African countries of the Mauritanians, Moroccans, Senegambia, look at it. West African states like Nigeria, Togo, Benin, Ghana, Senegal, Gambia, Guinea, Mali, all that's in my DNA chart right there. These are the same people that they say are Moors. South Africa, Burkina Faso, Mauritania, Sudan, among others. However, many theories have tried to dispute the fact that West African states were initially named Africa and had no prior relationship to being a part of ancient Kemet, which is under the name of Kubalan during the days of old. A lot of people don't know Africa was actually a little small spot up in the left corner above Mauritania at one time. A lot of people don't know that right there on the map. If you look at an old map from the 15 and 1600s, you know, and I have a lot of those maps, Africa, you know, was actually up there in the corner, family. It wasn't the whole continent. It was a province of Rome. And that's why they tell you, just like the word Mauritania actually covered the whole northern region of Africa at one time. I got maps showing this. It's only on the recent and modern maps that you have it as you see it today. So in finishing the reading here, like I said, you know, the word Moor was used interchangeably with the word African, which is a misnomer. It was used with the word Ethiopian, which is a misnomer. It was used also interchangeably with the Negro. But we know who all of these people that they are trying to describe by this name is. So it says that critics have established the term Moor was used interchangeably with such similarly ambiguous terms as African, Ethiopian, Negro, and even Indian. So that's why even in America, when they spoke of the Indians, I showed you pictures of this, showing you that this was terms that were dealing with the Indians and the Moors. You see, everything I said. It says to complicate the vision further, the Moor was characterized alternately and sometimes simultaneously in contradictory extremes as noble or monstrous, civil or savage. So, you know, at one time they were talking good about the Moors. Then the next thing you know, they were talking bad about the Moors. That's what he's saying. It says, Michael Neal, echoing Bartel's description, elaborates by saying that insofar as the term Moor was a term of racial description, it could refer quite specifically to the Berber Arab people. It says in the part of North Africa, and if you don't know who the Berber Arabs is, them our people. Them the originated, the Cushitic stock of the Arabs. You see? But it says that it can refer to them then vaguely denominated as Morocco. It says Mauritania or Barbary. It also could refer to, or it could be used to embrace the inhabitants of the whole North African littoral. It says, or it might be extended to refer to the Africans generally, white/black. It says Atani Moors, and they're saying this because they're saying Europeans began to refer to all the people that was considered Muslim as Moors. That means the lighter skinned Arabs that some people would call white, and the black, as they would call them, Arabs. You see? But it says, or by even more promiscuous extension, it might be applied like Indian to most darker skinned people, even on the occasion of those of the New World. Consequently, when Marlo Valdez refers to the supine obedience of the Indian Moors to their Spanish lords, it is usually assumed that the two terms are simply mutually intensifying synonyms, and that the magician means something like dusty New World natives. But the word Moor could often be deployed in a fashion perhaps inflected or even for English by memories of the Spanish Reconquista as a religious category. In other words, the Muslims. It says the Muslims on the Indian subcontinent were habitually, were called Moors. And the same term is used in East Indian Company literature to describe the Muslim inhabitants of Southeast Asia, whether they be Arab or Indian traders, indigenous Malays. It says, so Valdez Indian Moors could equally well be Muslims from the Spanish-controlled Portuguese, East Indies. As such contexts, it is simply impossible to be sure whether Moor is a description of color or religion. because it's used basically to refer to both or some vague amalgam of the two. It says, in intoxicated exoticism, Malovian geography, such discriminations hardly matter. Meaning this stuff really don't matter. The word more refer to these people, and it is what it is basically what he's saying. So he goes further into it. Like I said, he gives the history, on what happened to the Moors, how Christianity was used to oppress, the Moors, and how they was exiled. And he was saying that this was also something that can be applied to this new era in time, how people have been exiled. And he said that this term Moor should be embraced by all of our people that are oppressed, be it the people that are among our Hispanic family, be it the people that are amongst our people, all oppressed people. This brother in this particular work is saying, basically Moors, no matter who they are, so in one aspect, it represents an actual lineage of people, but on another level, it represents a symbol for the oppressed. He talked about all the laws that were passed to demonstrate the oppression on the Moor. And I'm opening up right now. Let me see here. It's this one thing I wanted to show you that he said here about the oppression of the people. And it spoke on, it was talking about America's indigenous people, makers of some of the greatest civilizations of history, were treated like Moors, subjected to relentless war and extermination. The Moors also arrived in America as black slaves who set out to fight for their rights from the moment that they landed. He talked about Karl Marx being a Moor, the creator of Marxism. He talked about Fidel Castro referring to himself as being of Moorish descent. Where is that demonstration? Where is that word here where he was speaking? 1 second. He was talking about the persecution of the people. Okay, yeah, this is the one part where it was talking. It says some 100,000 Moriscos from Granada were deported under very inhumane conditions, with death rate reaching 30%. The old Christians from northern Spain resettled their lands. It says, as brutal as his actions were, Don Juan did not remain unmoved by deportation of the Moriscos, and it was, in his own words, the saddest sight in the world. For at the time they had set out with so much rain, wind, and snow that mothers had to abandon their children by the wayside. Can you imagine a mother having to abandon their children after being exiled? This is when they exiled, during the time of the Moriscos, because they also was the last remnant of the Moors that was there during 1609. This was all done under the edicts of the king and the queen. But it says it cannot be denied. It says that the most distressing sight one can imagine to see a depopulation of a kingdom. So this was all dealing with the exile, so this brother is basically saying that everybody that's exiled outside of their nationality, that's over here in the West, yeah, we consider them all Moors. You see? And man, they just go on and on. It's just so much information. It's the age of information, family. If you let somebody lie to you and go in opposition, the people of Spain was even criticized by Machiavelli. Though he honored the fact they was able to do what they do based on the art of war, he said it was one of the most low down, despicable things, basically. So yeah, it don't get no planning in this family. And we can go on and on. They go to talk about the popes and how the church was involved with this. It speaks on the New World Moors and everything. But that's just a little etymology. So at this time, what we gonna do now that we done stirred up the ethers and the neurons? We gonna go to our scribe family. Islamism without the schism, because we ready to get this homework in. Praise be to Allah, honors to the ancestors, our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. All right. So at this time, we're going to call forth the scribes to bring their measure forth on our homework. Islam, anyone that's ready to volunteer. Islamism.
Islam?
Uh-oh, Brother Bati Bey, you got it, grand man.
Islam.
Islam.
Okay. One second. Present. Share.
Also, while you're looking for that, I want to give honors to the brother Raheem Shamori. As we pointed that brother out, that's that brother that gave us that history on the NOI, telling us about the charter being found at Temple number 4 in Elijah Muhammad's possession when War Dean Muhammad then was cleaning up. And Khalid Muhammad was present. That's why he said, I'm a Moor. I got sense enough to know that I'm a Moor. I wouldn't tell you I'm a Moor if I didn't mean it. If I said it, I mean it. Praise be to Allah. Honors to our brother, Dr. Khalid Muhammad. Yeah.
That was a grand measure when he did that too.
Yeah, man. They say they love him, but they don't want to follow him in that aspect right there.
No.
You see, go ahead, brother.
Islam. Okay, let me get back up to this is so Simon says, using your skillful scribe document to become familiar with the pronunciation of the alphabets as they relate to facial phonetic illustrations chart attached herein. And hold on one second. I gotta do, where did I put it at? I want to pull this up. Okay. That. And where's the alphabet? Reference. Oh, reference. Okay. There it goes. Man. All righty. Scroll this up. So, as you see, this kind of gives the explanation of the words, but and hold on, let me put this side by side. Let me put it side by side just so the family can get it better. Boom, and then we'll bring boom. Okay, so we see where this says transliteration of that, the bird, which looked like an eagle. It's and it talks about the short vowels up in here, and it says it's a guttural or glottal or guttural pronunciation, which is e, ye, o, ba, pa, fa, mim, ni, ra, ha. And let me 1 second. Slide it over a little bit. So, hu, cha, I think it's like K, like Heinrich, ich, yeah, K, and sh, K, ka. Scroll down some. G, which we see that's right there. Okay. Then we got t, tu, the, and j. Islam. I'm gonna drop that down and bring my assignment back up. Where is it at? There we go. Okay. So that was the using the skillful scribe to use the skillful scribe to become familiar with the pronunciation of the alphabets as they relate to the facial phonetic illustrations of the chart. Now going to the use of the atomic mass as related to the sphere letters and gematria values as found in the Egyptian alphabetical creation cycles, as I did in the chart attached to this email, decipher and decode any amount of bilateral, trilateral words of your choice and give your example of an anaglyphic formula. I believe I didn't put out a formula, but I just did the formula for these right here, and which is sign, which is the S gematria stands for 90 in the writing modes, and I didn't put that down. Where's it at? Hold on 1 second. And this is actually 70. That ein is 70. Oh, okay, because never mind. I know what I did. But these are the so 90 equals ZR, which is this is the atomic mass of it. So 91. So I just took 90, took it as 90 since it was so close. Zirconium is the metal they use. Wait a second. Zirconium. I got this. Somehow I got my homework. It's not zirconium. I thought I had zirconium on here. I think I put this stuff backwards. Excuse me, but bromine, because it got bromine twice. Give me 1 second, family. So this is why that's where the bromine is. This is not it. How did it? Islam. So I know where I did. I know where it messed up at. So SA gematria is 90. For 90, I have zirconium. Zirconium is a metal. And I'm gonna have to go through and look. I'm gonna have to go through and look this up on the thing because it just messed up. Islam. Shut this down. Zirconium. There we go here. Pardon the body. Zirconium. And I had all this stuff printed. I don't know what happened to it. I think when I was trying to go back and redo everything, it must have, when I was trying to change everything over to the bromine because I was trying to clear these blues, the blue sayings or the blue links out of it. So zirconium is a chemical element with the symbol ZR as atomic. It says atomic number 40, but we're not going off the atomic number. We are going actually off the atomic mass, which is the one that is located below that. Let me show that to the family. Right here. So when we're talking about the atomic mass, you see this says atomic mass, that's atomic number. The atomic number is not what we're looking at. We're looking at these numbers below here to identify the closest, saying the closest from the gematria, the closest element to it. And so that's where I got the zirconium being 91.224. And right here. Okay, and zirconium is a metal. One second. Zirconium is a metal. The word is related to the Persian zargon. It says gold-like or as gold. It's an illustrious gray, white, strong transitional metal, which, if I read it correctly, it has a low boiling point, or it might have a high. Let me click on this real quick, man, just to give you. It says illustrious gray, white transitional metal that closely resembles hafnium and to a lesser extent titanium. So they say this is like a kind of transitional metal. I don't know if they're actually talking about the being able to kind of like gold or copper. They use it good for a conductor. But zirconium is mainly used as a refractory and opacifier. Although small amounts are used as an alloy agent for its strong resistance to corrosion, zirconium forms a variety of inorganic and organon metallic compounds. And that's what I got for the 90. So let me go pull back up the homework. And other one was the Ein, which I went into. Yeah, did everything, bro. That's crazy. Which this is the letter because I inserted it from the symbols over here. I inserted that letter from the symbol, so it says Ein. The gematria number gave off 70. And we're gonna go into that. Gallium. Excuse me, family. And gallium is an element with the symbol. It says Ga atomic 31, but we know that the atomic mass is not the same as the atomic number. It says this was discovered by French, whatever his name is, in 1875. Gallium is in a group 13 of the periodic table and is similar to the other metals in the group aluminum, indium, and thallium. Elemental gallium is a soft silvery metal at standard temperature and pressure. It is in its liquid state, it becomes silverly white if enough force is applied. Solid gallium may fracture and daily. I can't pronounce it. I'm unable to pronounce that word right now. Since its discovery in 1875, gallium has widely been used to make alloys with low melting points. It is also used in a semiconductor as a dopant in semiconductor substrates. And going to, I might have to delete this stuff. So that was the essay word, and that's why the sa or the goose, that's what the word means, sa, or sign is goose. And then I went into the Nefer, which is heart or windpipe. The gematria of the N gave off the number 50, which is vanadium. Vanadium is a chemical element with the symbol V and atomic number 23. It is a hard silvery gray malleable transition metal. The element metal is rarely found in nature, but once isolated artificially, the formation of an oxide layer somewhat stabilizes the free metal against further oxidation. So then we went to the F, and that gave off the gematria of G, which the Br bromine, and bromine is also a mineral that can be ingested in the body too. So just it's not the same thing, but at the atomic structure of 79, since this was the closest to 80, bromine is a chemical element with the symbol Br and atomic number 35. It is volatile, red-brown liquid at room temperature that evaporates readily to form a similar colored vapor. Its properties are intermediate between those of chlorine and iodine. Isolated independently by two chemists, Carl Jacob Loewig in 1825 and Antonio Jerome Ballard in 1862. Its name was derived from the ancient Greek bromos, meaning stench, referring to its sharp and pungent smell. And then that just tells you a little bit more about it. Elemental bromine is very reactive and thus does not occur as a native element in nature, but it occurs in a colorless, soluble, crystalline mineral. Halide salts, analogs to the table salt. In fact, bromine and all the halogens are so reactive that they form bonds in pairs, never in single atoms. While it is rather rare in the Earth's crust, the high solubility of bromine ion negative, I believe it means negative charge, has caused its accumulation in the ocean. Commercially, the element is easily extracted from brine evaporation ponds, mostly in the United States and Israel. The mass of bromine in the ocean is about 1 to 300 that of chlorine. And then the R on Nefer was 200, which equates to mercury. Mercury is a chemical element with the symbol Hg and atomic number of 80. It is also known as a quicksilver and was formerly named hydrogyrum from the Greek word hydro, water, and agrarios, silver. A metal, a heavy silvery D block element. Mercury is the only metallic element that is known to be liquid at standard temperature and pressure. The only other element that is liquid under these conditions is the halogen bromine through metals such as caesium, gallium, and rubidium melt just above room temperature. Mercury occurs in deposits throughout the world, mostly as a cinnabar, Craig sulfate, and I'm unable to read that portion. There we go. The red pigment vermilion is obtained by grinding natural cinnabar or synthetic mercury sulfide. So this is what I got for my homework, and I pray that I did this correct because I know I got the gematria parts correct, but the other part where it says to make your own formula, anaglyphic formula, Islam.
Islam, we give honors to you, brother, for that drawing. And we got the insight on the measure that you brought forth in regards to dealing with the facial recognition chart in relation to dealing with the sounds. Grand job on that. And to our family out there that was paying attention, what he was demonstrating, and I'm going to show you real quick here just to share my screen briefly. Gratitude, Brother Bati Bey, for the work. Let me do this. We give honors to our goddess, Sister Sakina. She said, awesome, I must attend my own shrine. That's right, Queen. Yes, sir. That's that shrine that you got right above your neck. You know, it's that chamber of self-mastery. You know, they be trying to tell us that the shrine is outside us. The shrine, we are the shrine. Islam. Shemotepu, Ankwajet Sanel. Hold up real quick. Let me share this right here. Here it go, right here. Okay, so this is what we had here, and we give honors to your brother Bati Bey. This was our chart, you know, and this chart, unbeknownst to many people, you know, being that, you know, I was taught, like I say, through the when I learned Tajweed mean the proper pronunciation, you know, of certain sounds that were dealing with the Arabic language. I was taught the Egyptian dialect by a brother who actually taught at Dar Uloom University. For those who don't know, this is Al-Azhar, you know, Cairo, you know, my teacher in Tajweed. You know, I was able to learn Arabic on my own as far as dealing with the research, but he taught me the Coptic dialect, Hikapta. So therefore, the dialect that I was taught through the Arabic, I can use to teach our people to properly give certain sounds in the Hikapta, you see, so to speak, to express the words. So we use this chart to express these special measures, you know, and all of these, for those who don't know what we're looking at, these are actual sounds. And this comes out of the Tajweed Quran is where I got this from, so that we can better give our family insight as to these sounds they use. Like the brother spoke of the different vowels that are used here, and he went down the chart, you know, dealing with the alphabet, and that chart is more in reference to the hieratic, you know, than it is anything else, you know, because this is basically what gave birth to the Hikapta and so forth and so on. So we use the Hikapta, being it is the most recent, you know, that connects to the original language, so we can express these alphabets as we would perceive our ancestors expressing them, you see. So I used the knowledge that I was given in pronunciation, you know, and brought that forth into being able to teach the science of that pronunciation here. You know, this is what we did. So, you know, you have again your A, you know, and then you have, notice they put the O and the U together. Oh, this would normally be considered a W in the Arabic language here. This would be considered a Y in the Arabic language, but they're expressing it as E, you see? And so when you understand that, and you put this in the context of the different words that you're expressing comedically, and you use this methodology, you know, you would find it easier to be able to express these things closer to the ancestors. So, for example, here it is here, ooh, right? This is mim. Let me blow that up right there. Mim. And then this is beh. This is coming off of the lip, the bottom lip right here, as you can see it, right? Feh, which often is a expression of P and H together. Think of a P and H together. Feh. That's how that would be expressed. So this would be this special letter in the Arabic. So then you have those things that deal with interchangeable expression. You know, your zeh, theh. So this theh is synonymous with the zeh sound, because it will be DH normally, but also they use Z depending on what scholar you're looking at. And this is coming from, you know, right below the top left portion. See, if you see it, it's mapping out where you express these letters from. You see? Now, when you come up here, then you have sa. This is sad. This is seen. This is za. Za again, right? The same expression that's close to this one. But this is, notice they sa, za, sa, se, seen, sad. All of that coming a little lower from this point, so it's kind of close there. Za, sa, you can see the closeness to it. But there's a distinction. So you express it from this particular area. Then you have da, da. You see, which is interchangeable with T. You see? Ta, 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 da. And you notice that this is expressed from this special region behind, the lip, and basically entering in. Ta, ta. If you were to push your tongue upward from the roof of your mouth, ta, ta, and actually push out the D and the T at the same time, this would be the best way of expressing, the amalgamation of these letters, so to speak. So then you have na, na, nun, nun, na, nunnet. You see in Kemet. And that will come right here. Below the nasal cavity, a little further back, but you nah. When you say nah, naturally, to say nah, your tongue is touching the top of your mouth. Try saying nah without doing that. You can't do it. Your tongue has to touch the roof of your mouth in order for you to say nah, nah. You see? Now, when we go into the word ra, 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 you actually have to touch the tongue on the top of the roof a little bit, with a little push of air to give a slight roll, but not a full roll. We talked about this before. We ain't doing that now. But here you will have the letter L. And it ain't strange that the letter L is coming behind the letter R, because R and L is also interchangeably. So when these people put these charts together, a lot of times they put the charts together based on the sound shift as well. If there were letters that would normally consider single letters in the chart, these letters will actually group together with those sounds that would be produced from the same area that you will find here in the facial chart. You see? So that's why you see R and L close to each other, because R and L, even in the teaching of the language of Kemet, is interchangeable. The letter R and L is. You see? So Allah, if you say Allah and try to push the word, push Allah out and push R out with that, you'll get that roll. You don't want to go into extreme roll, and this is where you have to come in with practice. You got to kind of be somewhat finessing when you say it. You want to hear the roll, but you don't want to hear extreme roll. You see? And so this is beneath the nasal cavity, but it's you barely touching, the roof of your mouth, so to speak. If you were to look at it this way. In this case, you would be trying to, even though this is R, try to push that R out with the L at the same time, simultaneously. And if you are dealing with the L, try to push the R out. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference, though. They sound real similar. You see? Here's another D, which is dad, right? And this one here is actually coming from behind the nasal cavity. That's where you're expressing that one from, which is same thing with the next one that comes from the shim hotep. So you will find the word shim, sheh. That's easy, right? This is your Y. Notice they have the J here too, but in all actuality, this is Jim, this is yeah, because a lot of times when you get into other languages, these two letters are interchangeable. They also add the letter I there too. We already know that. That's why you get words like Jesus from Yeshua or Yeshua. You see, Yesu. In the ancient Kemetic language, there's actually a word that is Yesu. that is the precursor to the word that we call Isa. But that's a whole nother teaching right there. So then the same thing you have here like Ka. You know, these are easy expressions, Ka. But then you have Kwa, Ka, Kwa. You see? And you see it comes from the back. You're trying to use the very back, you know, of your mouth. Kwa. Almost like you're trying to push air through here when you say the Q. You know, like forcefully pushing air from the back of, you know, not the deep throat, but the top of the throat, the roof of the mouth in all actuality. You're pushing that up. Kwa. That's why you hear people say Quran. You see? But this would be Ka. You see? So this is another measure right here where you go Ka. Where you actually, really the best way to do it is speak this as if you are trying to add the G to it. Because this is actually interchangeable. These two are interchangeable with each other. You know, this G and this K and H. Ka. So you pushing that out, you know, the G out with this KH. If you can bring those together, infuse them, and you got to come a little further down into the throat now. When you do this, Ka. You're trying to say KH and G at the same time. You know, but this is normally Kain. Ka. See how close they are to each other? Kain. You see? And then this is Ha. And you can tell when you say Ha that it's coming from the inside of your throat. Ain. This goes a little deeper into the throat here. Ain, which is actually where we get Kain. You see, Ain. Ha. Notice Ha. Ka. Ha. Same letter, right? So once you're able to see it from that aspect there and you master this, you know, then when you begin to speak the Medu or your Medu, so to speak, as far as dealing with the expression of the hieratic, you know, all is well. You know, here also, and also that was Ha as well, you know, going a little deeper down into that. So all of your vowels are coming from here though. Deep down into the throat region. You see, this is a Hamza, you know. So, I mean, these are the different ways that were being brought forth with the actual practicing using this chart, and it gives you the ability to properly pronounce your words, because you have to remember the Arabic is a descendant of the ancient Egyptian. How do we know this? Because the Arabs are descendants, you know, of the ancient Egyptians. You see, the ancient ones. We ain't talking about the modern. The modern, they got a little bloodline in there, but we know they watered down. Because you got to remember, the original Arabs inhabitants were Cushites. And that's why you will find in a lot of their relics, you know, some of the same things, the Ankh and everything else. So we give honors to our brother. I just wanted to point that out. Now, when it comes to the formula, our brother gave us the formula. He just didn't give us a pictorial breakdown on the formula like I did here. You know, and when we go into the aspects of the formula, you know, if we go into the essence of it, and most likely gives us a grand drawing on the definition that has been given on a particular word. Like we showed here, swa'a, you know, actually means to make endure, to last, to make stay in a house, lengthen life, last long. And I got a bunch of these different charts where I have broke down. And so what we are doing, we are taking the anaglyphs here, and we are applying the sound from the hieratogram, not to the picture itself, but we are using this as a guidepost to let you know that we are activating this is special formula. And this is the way our ancestors activated the formula and chanted Heka. But this is from hieratic, is where we got these sounds from. We didn't get these sounds from the pictures. You see, this is hieratic, and actually this is the hieratic up here, which you see here. So we applied the hieratic just for incantation aspects, but this is given a deep background as we show our family on these pictures. It takes them beyond trying to make these alphabets, because we're not looking at them. We're looking at them like an anaglyphic formula. You see? And so here you see where I use the atomic mass, you know, and this is the atomic mass. You don't really deal with what's behind the decimal. So it will be 9, right? Plus 6. And that's 15. So what I would do now that I have this in the gematria, I go to, you know, what 1 and 5 is, for example. 15, once you go into the 1 and the 5, the 1 represents the letter A. You see, the 5 represents the letter H. I, right? I. You see? So now that we have the letter H, when we add 1 and 5 together, we get the letter 6. 1 and 5 is 6. And that brings us to the expression which deals with the letter W, or we, right? So this would be the way I would express this special word. But this word came from the atomic mass in these elements. What are these elements? One is beryllium, and the other element is lithium. Both of these elements represent energy sources that deal with mostly batteries. And these are supposed to be elements that wouldn't normally mesh with each other. However, there's a special relationship to them in the level of chemistry, because that's what we're dealing with. When we talk about the periodic table, family, we're talking about how elements and different molecules react with each other. You know, this is actually the same table shows you how many different atoms it takes to make the body, how many atoms exist within things in creation. So we are using the gematria to tap into the Kemetic alphabet and see how it relates to the elements. So this takes this thing way beyond the way Western Egyptologists try to teach you. So we look at what is being expressed here, and I'm able to do this with Arabic and Hebrew as well. You see? So now that we have the gematria here and we go deeper into the definition, well, what is the relation, you know, of beryllium and lithium? You know, once you go into how they interact with each other according to the periodic table, you find out that this deals with the electrical conductivity with exactly 0 resistance, right? This would be the definition of the union between these two right here. You know, it ain't strange that you see this here, Be and Li, you know, but let's go further. So in other words, there has to be some fusion. There has to be some ongoing prolongation, you know, constancy, so to speak. I use that word when it comes to the energy, meaning this is an energy source. Once it is meshed and fused, these two particular atomic structures, it cannot be a break in there, because this is electrical conductivity with exactly 0 resistance. Now, how is this applicable to yourself? It's applicable to yourself because spiritually, if your energy is unhindered, if your energy and your connection to divinity is unhindered, you can ground yourself in that divinity and bring anything it is that you will into the manifest by spoken word, or what we call heka. That's what these anaglyphic formulas is dedicated to. So when we go here and you see I, which is Alpha, the one and all, you see the divine infusion. Remember, I got this from the gematria. The number 1 represents the letter A. The number 5 represents the letter H. That's where this is coming from. All from, again, the periodic table. Remember, I added 9 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's the 6. The thing behind the decimal does not matter. The atomic matter is the first. Let me blow this up. The atomic mass is the first number here. And that's where my math is coming from. So from the 15, it manifested this is special word. You see? And when I went into the Egyptian alphabetical creation cycle text, and I'm going to show that to you in a minute. I'm going to hold it up for you for the family that want to get it. You know, it gives the breakdown of the geometry, and that's how I come up with the one and all, the divine infusion, connectivity between the upper and lower realm. So that's AHW, AHW. You see? So it's easy. Add the gematria. Once you put them together, you get the number 15. Okay, 15. Convert the number 1 to A again. Convert the 5 to H. And then you add the 2 together and you get 6. And then that becomes W. You see? How do I know this? I'm going to show it to you in a second. So once you're able to do that, and then you say, okay, well, let's go to the definition of the word sweat. Notice is the root of this special word right here. And if we talk about the one and all in the divine infusion connectivity between the up and lower realms, if you look at this symbol here, then you understand why this is special hawk or bird represents the symbol of deity or God. It represents the ability of consciousness in all actuality to become one with the netter, become one with the all, become divinely infused, and it represents connectivity between the up and lower realms. Because though this particular animal, creature of creation, is able to come to the plane of things made manifest, it also has the potential to soar into the highest heights and even be able to peer into the sun, you know, without blinking, so to speak, right? You know, this is a powerful measure. That's a symbol of consciousness. So when we look at it from this standpoint, looking at this being the root, the I, out of everything that's being said here, because we see it here, swa I. Notice the emphasis here, right? And the W is basically there, even though we're not expressing it here in his. This is just the definition they have in the particular dictionary we use, you know, but it's swa, right? Which means to make, to endure, to last, to stay in house, to lengthen life, last long. So this actually deals with electrical conductivity from a spiritual, a metaphysical standpoint that deals with exactly zero resistance when you are grounded, when you are anchored, so to speak, to divinity. You see? So now here's the book here. You know, and this is what we mean by creating the anaglyphic formula. You simply take the same information our brother put up there, but I put it in an expression as to how it relates to the word. He gave us the word nefer, you know, but there are actual, you know, sounds that come from the hieratic with the word nefer, you know, that wasn't placed there, but I understood exactly what the brother was doing. He just didn't put the artwork behind it. So we give honors to you, brother, for the drawing, you know, in this special measure, because that's the aspect of dealing with the formula. And this is the book, you know, the Egyptian alphabetical letters of the creation cycle that we are using to pull our gematria for. And if you go here, just like I was sounding everything out, I want to show you this real quick. You know, in this particular book, when you go into it, he actually have a breakdown for everything. But right here on page 14 in the preface, you will see that he gives the different letters and all this checked out. See, each letter has, each word rather, expression, a sound, you know, actually has a gematria value next to it. That's 2, that's 3, that's 4, next to dal, hey, 5, wall, 6, see the wall? If you come right here, remember I said that's the aleph, that's the 1. Where's 5? 5 is head. That's where I got the letter H from. You see what I'm saying? And then wall, which is 6 when you add 5 and 6 together. That's how you deal with gematria. You see what I'm saying? So everything in creation is dealing with numbers. And so it goes on. And we seen our brother giving us the gematria value, which he did quite well. Like I said, he just didn't put the pictures in there. But this is the same chart that he was using. This is the Egyptian alphabetical letters of the creation cycle. Now, when I go in here, for example, because this whole book actually breaks down the alphabet. It will start off, and if you're wondering where I got the concept, of the divine and the all from, let's go to the letters, okay? And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about in 1 second here, because there's a breakdown on each and every one of these particular letters. They are called sphere letters, okay? So this would be, let me make sure you can see that. Hold up. Trying to give you this one here. I opened the wrong page up. 1 second here. Here it is right here. Okay, so this is the first sphere letter right here. It is alpha, aleph, the one and all. So that's why you seen me place that, in the particular area. I'm going to share it again and show it to you right here so you can see it. So you wonder where he got that from. If you wonder where I got it from here. You see, the Egyptian alphabet. So that's alpha, the one and all. Remember, that's the number 1. This is the number 5, the divine infusion. So, and remember, this last one is W, connectivity between the lower and upper realm. You see? So I'm applying this gematria from this particular work. Now, let me stop sharing so I can show you the rest of them. I'm going to go to the letter, which is, again, the letter H. Here it is right here. And notice it says H, the 5th sphere letter. I just showed you the first one with the letter A. This is the 5th sphere letter. The divine infusion is what this is called, right? So that's how I came up with the portion where I showed you what the divine infusion represented. Right here again. I got to keep going back between this. Right here. That's the letter H, right? And then last but not least, W is connectivity between the upper and lower realms. This ain't stuff I'm just making up, family. These are actual letters that attach to gematria. We just want to make this plain to our people. But there are breakdowns on each and every one of these right here. And I'm going to point it out in a second. I just want to show y'all where these things are coming from. So here it is right here. See? The 6th sphere letter, which deals with the letter W in gematria. Connectivity between the upper and lower realms. Right? So now that you understand this, again, once we put this together, and bring it forth comprehensively to our family, you simply say the one and all, the divine infusion, connectivity between the lower and the upper and lower realms. You see? So we talk about a line that unites divinity and matter a lot of time when it comes to dealing with energy, when it comes to dealing with divine aspects of spirit. So you can see the line that's uniting divinity and matter all through this expression. There are different forms of the line being demonstrated throughout this special anaglyph. So this is what we're talking about when we say electrical conductivity with exactly 0 resistance, meaning there is no friction, there is no resistance going on. This is basically smooth operation, where one is connected directly to the source. That's what we're getting at here. You see? And this Bird only represents a symbol of being able to ascend to the source. He actually deals with time concept in Kemet, but He deals with Zeptepi in most cases. Hundreds and thousands of years in relation to dealing with cycles. You see? And then Wah is connectivity between up and lower rim. That is your potential. Though you are in the plane of things made manifest, you are able to ascend to the heights in your consciousness, just like this bird, you know, this hawk, this falcon, so to speak. Heru. Now you notice the word ruh connects to spirit. You see? So now that we have this knowledge, dealing with each and every one of these special spirit letters, let us just read briefly to take a short deep dive, you know, into the further definition, because that was just the description of these ones. So let's go into the Alpha, the one and all. What does our brother Mustafa the Ghazala say about this? Now put this in the mind of the definition as it relates to Sweat as we have it based upon the gematria that we put together, you know, and how it connects to this root in the word to make, to endure, to last, to stay in the house, to lengthen life and last long. This is a causative expression, right? It says the role of the letter A, again, that's the Alpha, one and all, the role of the letter A in the creation cycle. All of the ancient Egyptian accounts of creation are exhibited with orderly, well-defined, clearly demarcated stages. As the sequence of creation unfolds, each stage contains all subsequent stages. The first letter A was associated with all the other letters, and all the other letters were associated with it. The second letter B was associated with all the other letters, and all other letters were associated with the letters B. Because it takes these letters, you know, dependent upon, you know, each and every other letter in order to make words. That's why they associated with each other. That's common knowledge, right? It says, and the cycle returns again and again. Creation is self-manifestation of the all, who being one yet assumes different aspects or forms, just like words. This letter that we see here makes up different words, just like these words, you know, are created of different alphabets, and we're talking about these aspects, not the pictures. Just like, for example, you can use the word see, S-E-E, as being able to look at something. Then you can take the word as, A-S, you know, as in, so to speak. You speaking of something. That's a different combination using the same letter in root with the S. Or you can say salt, you know, S-A-W. You know, we can go into the aspect of a past tense expression, right? You know, and then we can say, let's just say sealed. I'm just showing different words. That's common knowledge. There ain't no rocket science behind it. You can make up many different words, you know, by rearranging letters. It's basically saying the same thing here, that creation itself is a manifestation of the all, who being one yet assume different aspects of forms. So just as these letters can make up many different words, the creator being the all express himself through many different attributes and forms. So we can see how mathematically and also alphabetically the creator is attached to his creation. You see, that's what's being said here. It says the atom represents the one or first existence, the alpha, the first and the foremost. The atom is recognized in the litany of Re as the all, the seed of creation out of which everything originated. So just as this is the case, it's saying that the letter A manifests itself in the same way. A represents the first among the alphabet, and everything else, as far as letters, when you go up through everything that comes from it manifests out of that oneness. You know, so it goes, it's powerful. And the brother, I like the way he put it. He said, this is atom, and just the plant is as it has contained within the seed. A plant itself is contained within a seed before it becomes a plant. So everything that is created in the universe, atom, you know, is the same way. It's the same thing with the atom. Everything in creation is contained in the atom. It's contained in these different elements. It's the combination of the elements working together that brings about, you know, what we call a manifestation of chemistry, the chemistry of mortal life. You see, it takes a certain amount of atoms, you know, and molecules, so to speak, to make an apple tree. It takes a different sequence to make an orange tree. It takes a different sequence, you know, to make the cosmos and the planets what they are. But nevertheless, all of these basic elements scientifically are dealing with one source. And that's how we are able to take this gematria and compare it to the periodical table. So it says atom, on who is the all, as the master of the universe declares in ancient Egyptian papyrus, commonly known as the Bremer papyrus, when I manifested existence, existed. In other words, existence came into existence when he manifested as existence. I came into existence in the form of the existent, which came into existence in the first time. Coming into existence according to the mode of existence, I therefore existed. This is atom, or autum. You see, this is where the European got their concept of the atom or the molecule from. It says, and it was thus that the existent came into existence. In other words, when the master of the universe came into existence, the whole of creation came into existence, because the complete one contains the all. And all ancient Egyptian texts reflect this sophisticated thought that emphasizes a progressive and orderly sequence of creation. The first stage of creation cycle was self-creation of the supreme being as creator and being, i.e., the passage from the subjective being, nu, nai, nun, as ancient Kemet would call it, nun and nun, nunet, right? To objective being atom. And that's atom or autum. A-T-U-M manifests out of the nun, the nu. And just as autum is able to manifest out of the nu, or the cosmic now, so to speak, the universe, so it is when it comes to dealing with words. Just as atoms and elements and molecules form people, places, and things, alphabets form words. You see, so gematria is naturally attached, you know, to everything in creation. Mathematics is the true language of the creation. That's why you can go into your DNA with this same gematria and you can find the God code, that the God is inside of you. That's what all this is dealing with. That's the purpose of going into these anaglyphic formulas. And this take this way beyond the way that the European try to teach when they say this is just a picture representing an alphabet. No, this is a formula. And when you put the combination of the formula together, see, way, ah, hey, see, way, ah, hey, these are incantations. You are able to chant these as in mantra, and through this comes Heka. This is how you activate the ethers. I'm trying to show you what our ancestors was able to demonstrate and change their condition because they understood the science of all creation. So if anybody tell you that this is not dealing with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, they lying to you and they don't know nothing about Kemet, you know? So, you know, it goes on, family, you know, in regards to dealing with this. But if you were to go into all of this book, it breaks down each one of those letters in the same way. I just gave the basic foundation of it, you know. So this is deep study, family. Ain't nobody else teaching like this. You know, they want you to go and deal with Gaston Maspero and just his interpretation E. Wallace Budge and just what he said and all this other stuff, but they ain't teaching you like this, family. We go deeper. You know, so that being said, let me call forth my next scribe. Now that we done stirred the ethers up again. I know I made it plain then. Islam. Where's our next scribe?
Islam.
Islam. Did I make it plain, Grand Secretary of State?
Yeah, so you stirred the ethers up. Praise Allah.
Islam. We love you, Goddess and Queen.
We love you too. Praise Allah. Having already risen, giving praise and honor where due. Grand demonstration, Dr. Shaheed, and also gratitude to Dr. Bati Bey. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay. Oh, it's finna get good now, y'all.
Look, I'm still striving.
Oh, ain't we all? Goodness gracious.
Praise Allah. Let me know. Can you see my screen?
Oh, yeah, we see it very clear.
Okay. Gratitude. And much gratitude again, Dr. Shaheed, for that breakdown, because every time I, hear these classes, I'm always learning something different. Well, dealing with our assignment, using your skillful scribe document to become familiar with the pronunciation of the alphabets as they relate to the facial phonetic illustration chart attached herein. And number 2, use the atomic mass as they relate to the sphere, letters, and gematria values as found in the Egyptian alphabetical creation cycle, as I did in the chart attached to this email, to decipher and decode any amount of bilateral or triliteral words of your choice and give us your example in anaglyphic formula. So as did Dr. Bati Bey and yourself, this is the chart that we were coming from. I also pulled up the comparison coming out of Poe 1, 2, and 3. I didn't put them side by side, but in essence, I kind of followed what was given in last week's class as far as pronunciation. So the Ein, Ear, E, Ah, Woo, the B and the P sound shifting, beep, peep, fa, mim, nun, rah, la, ha, ka, chak, zeis, zine, shim, qua, ka, qua, tai, chai, da, and jet. So I'm still working on that, family, but I'm trying to become more familiarized with the nasal sounds and things of that nature. And this is what Dr. Shaheed brought forth, which was a grand demonstration. Now I tell you, when I pulled up my periodic table, I pulled out of Poe the triliteral SSP, which they had as defined white, bright, dawn or light, and white and bright. But the glyph here, now they had it as a Unicode 042 fence. And I did pull up the molar tool, the HP tool, which also dealt with SSP. Now, this is when I did the SSP. Hold on one second. Let me get over here. The S, if you notice, it has that little symbol above it, which is the sh. They had it as pool of water. The second S, s, and then the P, and I use the sound shifting for the P and the B. Okay. Now, for the first S, for the gematria, trilateral stem verb using the ordinal value of 28 letters and then the numerical equivalent. In the letters of creation cycle, it had 4 different methods. The absolute value, where you just go with each letter and its numerical equivalent, as you had stated. And then that second one, ordinal value, just used in each of the 28 letters, like A equals 1, K equals 11. And also the integral reduced, where you add up all of the values and then break it down to 1 digit. So in essence, with the S, I did it in 2 different values. I went with 21, because it's 2 S's. And I have Shishepi as my pronunciation of the SSP. So I went with the 21, the 15 plus the 2, which gives 38. The 3 and the 8 equals 11. And then 1 and 1 is 2. Okay. Then I also took what the actual value of the letter was in the second formula, the 300 plus the 60 plus the 2, which gave me a total of 362. And 3 plus 6 plus 2 equals 11. And then the 1 plus the 1 is 2. Now, right there, Moorish Ken, I'm telling you, I had a paradigm shift, because I was reading that chapter on A in order for me to get, because the 2 is the Bay, the second sphere letter. And so in order for me to comprehend the 2 or the B, I had to go back to the A. So I was reading the chapter on A, then I read the chapter on B in order for it to make sense to me, So the B represents divine intellect, the divine mind consciousness. They also have the term Isis and the womb. Now, when they said the Kemethian word for daughter is BET, okay, and then house, dealing with the Kemethian word, was BEYT, which takes us back to the Bay of 2. And so I tell you, I was just like, you can just hear mind being blown or what have you, but it was just such a blessing. So now what I did, and see, Dr. Shahi, you were saying don't pay attention. I did take the atomic mass, but I pushed it up to 2 in order to get to round it up from the 1.008. Okay, the atomic weight. But I came up with the symbol, or the atomic measure of hydrogen, which is 1.008 atomic weight. Which I said, okay. Yes, sir.
Wait a minute. Wait. Now, you just showed us about the pool and the water.
Yes.
And so, you mean to tell me the geometry brought you right back around?
Yes, this is what I'm saying. No matter what formula I used, it kept it with the 2.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm telling you, I'm sitting here.
Islam is too old. Goodness gracious. So y'all see this now.
Because if you see it, you go from 1.008, and then the next thing is 4, and it goes increase. So that's why I went with hydrogen, the first thing.
That's right.
And just pushed it up to 2. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, man.
H2O.
Yes.
Water. The anaglyph manifested the element. Man, they better stop playing.
Yes.
Go ahead, Secretary of State.
So now this hydrogen is the chemical element with the symbol H and atomic number of 1, which we're not paying attention to. Hydrogen is the lightest element. Let me just bring this down one more notch. Okay, hydrogen is the lightest element. At standard conditions, it's a gas of diatomic molecules having the formula H2. There was the 2 again, slapped me upside my head. So it's colorless, odorless, tasteless, non-toxic, and highly combustible. It's the most abundant chemical substance in the universe, which would make sense if this is coming out of the atom 1. All right, and it also I'm going to go over what's coming out of Mustafa Gondola's book in a minute. Not trying to get ahead of myself. So it's the most abundant chemical in the universe, constituting roughly 75% of all normal matter. Another paradigm shift. Stars, such as the sun, are mainly composed of hydrogen in the plasma state. Most of the hydrogen on Earth exists in molecular forms, such as water, which we know that's H2O, and organic compounds. For the most common isotope of hydrogen, symbol 1H. Each atom has one proton, one electron, and no neutrons. Okay, so now in the early universe, the formation of protons, nuclei of hydrogen occurred during the first second after the Big Bang, which would tie into what our ancient forefathers stated, coming from the Nu, Nu, or dealing with the Nile, etc. Okay, where everything was formless and shapeless, and all of this stuff was falling into place. The emergence of neutral hydrogen atoms throughout the universe occurred about 370 years later during the recombination epoch, when the plasma had cooled enough for electrons to remain bound to protons. So, because of its atomic structure, consisting of only a proton and electron, the hydrogen atom, there's that atom again, together with the spectrum of light, and that took me back to the ancient Egyptian dictionary that spoke about light and bright. So that was tying that in. I'm like, good gracious.
Wow. And then the word white too, because remember the prophet said, keep your heart and mind pure with love and your body clean with water. But then white mean purity, purity mean God, God mean the ruler of the land. And this is talking about light. Oh man, I can see it. I'm sick. You cooking over there. You cooking.
Well, look, and like you said, in order for us to be not fractured when we go from, this earthbound state and unfold into the God state, then in essence, that light of truth has to be there. So I'm just sitting here. Yeah. Hey man, I can't even hardly see now. I'm so excited. Yeah. So wait a minute. Let me see. Then it got to quantum mechanical theory, which you speak about quantum physics as well. Still dealing with this H2. And this was my anaglyphic formula. The SHU, the S, the P, and the B, which we know that sound shift and interchangeable. But I just wanted to pull forth, which I didn't put on the PowerPoint, the thing that I got out of the letters of creation cycle when it speaks about that B, the second sphere letter. Atom dealing with the universal intelligence or the image of the one. And from there, you're dealing with Ra, the primeval cosmic creative force. Then when it goes to Isis, the female principle of creation, that's the Bay. The light given in heaven with Re, emanated energy from the total one, the female principle in the universe. Only she can conceive and deliver the created universe. The female Ra, prototype of all beings, queen of all Neteru. The daughter, well, I already went over the daughter in Kemet of the Bay and the Bait. But the divine intelligence, as well as the house, being the universal womb, space, or bubble that will contain the created universe. Now they're calling that the mother. Now in music, this is where it got key for me. The A, the total one, and mother of creation, B, is symbolic of the music note and its octave. So an octave is like 7 notes higher. It has the same sound, but it's in a more elevated state, or it can be in a lower state. And that encompasses all the notes within it. An octave encompasses all the notes within it, just as creation encompasses all of the things within it. As you were speaking about, from that seed, the plant has everything in it. So that was very profound for me, and gratitude for this assignment. So that's my measure.
And now you see how you're able to take just one particular word or one letter And it's a vast amount of information, which is showing us that within these anaglyphs is the elements of the periodical table. You see, from the ancient Comedian standpoint, that's powerful. So when we look at it from that aspect, that take it to a whole nother level. And that's what I'm talking about. Everything you did in your gematria, Grand Secretary of the State, checked out with the definition of the word, and the actual mathematics brought it back around. And that's why they say the mathematics represent that which is most definitely absolute when it comes to certain measures. So math is at the root of creation. And that's why the chairman talked about the 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. All that's dealing with, basically being able to go within the self and unlock the real essence, of creation and one's being. Islam.
And you know what, Dr. Shahid, that word gematria did not really click for me. I know that we had it before, and I was going through the motion and not really getting into that Letters of Creation cycle book. But see, this assignment, I had to go in there in order for me to comprehend my assignment. And I tell you, when I opened up the book, when I opened up the book, it had a category or subtitle, gematria. And I said, praise be to Allah. This is where the word comes from, So I'm like, I just had a lot of revelations in this assignment. So I want to say gratitude, because all the time stuff doesn't click at the same time because we all moving at different paces. But, all of it's a part of the one. So gratitude more. Appreciate the blessing in the class.
That's right. Islamism without the schism. And a lot of people don't know the word gematria is also connected to geometry. And so, it's a powerful drawing. It was taught by our ancestors, and people don't know it, but every alphabet has a gematria that's connected to it. And we are dealing with the hieratic. Our gematria is connected to the hieratic language, and we can do the same for the Demotic and the Arabic and the Hebrew and all other aspects, but this is definitely a powerful, powerful measure, family. This is one of the most ancient modes of knowledge, and this wasn't given to the public. These things were taken because when you have this knowledge, you are able to really go into moving the ethers. And so, ones wasn't giving up the arsenal to a baby, so to speak. That would be irresponsible. In other words, you'll have people trying to concoct all type of stuff just like they've been doing. What you think Rome been doing? Look at how they've been acting destructive with the little information they done got. And it's all based on this same knowledge that we bringing forth right now. So we are showing you things that, like I say, people ain't going to teach you. This stuff is hidden behind closed doors. You see, so it goes further and way more deeper than this. This is just scratching the surface to show you, how deep the language itself is and how it relates to the anaglyphs and the pictorial expressions. And like we say, able to chant the mantra, and vibrate the ethers. You have to have this knowledge in order to make what you put out there in the ethers come back and not be void. This ain't got nothing to do with no hokum pokum, and open sesame and all that old abracadabra. No, it ain't got nothing to do with this. It's talking about simply being the God that you are, knowing yourself and knowing creation. And you can use this knowledge to heal yourself if you but knew. It's through the same science, like we showed you, that we can actually find the name of the Creator as God eternal within the body. I mean, if it don't get no plainer than that right there, it just ain't meant to be plain. So I just say gratitude, Grand Secretary of the State. That was a powerful measure. You and Brother Bati Bey, y'all both did grand work. And all it takes is just one portion of it. It don't take a whole book. And this is why we say that, we would be studying these things for a lifetime, but it will actually make you more aware of how you are made. Remember, In our teaching, the 3 degrees of life are the chemistry of mortal life, the ministry of death, and the mystery of deific life. You see what I'm saying? These are the 3 degrees of unfoldment that we also equate with being, angel, cherubim, seraphim. These things represent different orders, within the creation. This is why the chairman will tell you your chamber is above your neck. So what does it tell us? We know a swift angel is one that has been called to do a work. You come forth from the womb as a mere man, but you ain't got to stay that way. You know what I mean? So once you get into that state and you go into the Isha level, you're dealing with cherubim and seraphim. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali was the first Egyptian adept master to demonstrate this. He was the Moorish American national coming out of a state of being a mere man, property like we was. He came into being a master of Allah's nature. M-A-N, master of Allah's nature, right? Moorish American national. Simultaneously, the same. Coming together, right? But then he became the angel. What is an angel? A thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. What are we talking about? We're talking about thought activity, intelligent design. This is how fearfully and marvelously we are made, right? So once we understand this and we get the angelic degree, we can ascend then into cherubim and seraphim. What does that represent when it comes to dealing with physiology, intuition, and telepathy? You can demonstrate these sciences now because now you're keeping it above the neck. You see, what does the chamber relate to when we go to chapter 1? When we talk about here, now ye cherubim, ye seraphim, ye angels, and ye men. That's the quadratic expression that's in our flag, seal, and emblem, them 4 quadrants. You see? But when we go into the real science of this special measure, and we say, well, in chapter 1, the cherubims represent those who will be doing what? They will be protectors of the solar stations and, the sun, the stations of the sun and so forth. You have the knowledge to be able to tap into the cosmology of creation. But then to go up even further in heights to the seraphim degree, which deal with that crown chakra, right? Now we're talking about the throne of the Almighty Allah that the prophet said he would take the good moors up above the sun, moon, and stars around the almighty throne of Allah. If you know anything about the pictures and chakras, the sun and moon is the center that deals with the heart in the chakra chart. So you climb up, into the consciousness of divinity upon that ladder. You see? And once you climb up through the consciousness, on a 3-step ladder and then your 12-step ladder, either or, who you think gonna be behind that door when you deal with the mastery of, tying yourself back to the source? You. Did I say the great God? So now you understand what it means when we say know thyself and thy Father God Allah. Because when you go into the seraphim degree, who is the seraphim? The spirit of the Almighty God Allah. Oh, did I say spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah? Oh, did I say, the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life? Ain't no gender in that. We talking about Mother Ma'at and Tehudi, divine mind. Islam, goodness gracious. So at this particular time, we're going to see if our beloved brother Marvin Edwards Bey has something he want to bring on the manifest. You there, grand man?
Islam, yes, I'm here. Well, praise Allah. Rising, giving all praise to the great God Allah, giving highest honors to his prophet, our prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Reef Abdul Ali. After I gave measures, I gave my honors before. And honor to our government officials in this class, and to you, Dr. Shahid Mohajit, for hosting and instructing this class. And I give honors to the scribes who did a marvelous job. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here really just learning because, my time constraint kind of limited me. That's just an explanation, not an excuse. And so all I could actually do, all I did do was to start out with okay. I'll just put it right there. Just get me on board. Okay. Yeah, so basically all I did was, because I just only got to start it. I didn't get to go into it. But from everything that everybody brought, and plus you going into it more, gave me a better understanding of what I really need to do. So this is the beginning, using your skillful scribe document. Become familiar with the pronunciation of the alphabets as they relate to the facial phonetics illustration chart attached here. And as the Moors were saying, when you look at this chart, it's telling us, let me actually get one that's actually better. If I can actually find it again. Anyway, I get back to the chart, which just isn't it. So see it here. Okay, let me just go back to to here. So here, as I was observing this particular portrait, so to speak, illustration, and I saw where each letter was pointing to different parts of the head, so to speak. You got the lips, you got in here in the tongue, and as we go up further, this is like the top of the mouth, you know what I mean, and certain parts of the nasal.
It's wrong, Brother Marvin. That would be if you showing the chart with the face, we can't see it. We see your other chart.
Oh,
I think you're not sharing your whole screen. I think you're sharing a tab. So you may have to go back out and reshare it, and then put share entire screen.
Okay, now if I say, okay, stop it. Okay.
Yeah, and because I can tell you building on another one of your thing, but look like you might have hit share my tab.
Okay. Present, share screen.
Yes, sir, and share the whole entire screen. Choose that option.
Okay. Okay, I see it now.
Mm-hmm. If not, it'll isolate your little thing for one. You know what I mean?
Okay. See, I got that part. Okay, here it is. I guess it's my internet. It's just taking a while.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Right there. Okay. Now I can tell you sharing your whole screen. Yes, sir. There you go, brother.
Right. Okay, so let me go back here. So this is what I was making reference to as the different points on this diagram as to how we are to use, our mouth and throat and nasal passages, and vocal cords to pronounce these letters. Since I see it here, okay, let me just go to the next one. Which, okay, 2, we're supposed to use the atomic mass as this relates to the sphere letters, and gematria values as found in the Egyptian alphabetical creation cycle. And see, I didn't even get to go through all of this here, so I was looking at the wrong book because I have this letters of creation cycle, you know, chart. And as we go into this here, it could actually break down and where you did state to, I'll go back here, use this chart and give an example of anaglyphic formula. Okay. I think I'm missing part of that class. Okay, use the skillful document and use the atomic mass. Okay, basically, cycle as I did in the text email. You get a code any amount of bilateral, triliteral words of your choice and give an example of the anaglyphic formula. Okay, like I said, I didn't get to go into it. So basically, I'm just showing you where I started. So I didn't really go into the homework as needed be. But I'll have to go back to it to go over this video again and go into the deciphering Islam. So
Islam. Yes, sir. All is well. All is well, grand man. No problem with that right there. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. And it takes time because, like I said, nobody is doing this as we are. This is new to much of our family. The thing is that when we study and we go into this information, we are bringing out our particular paradigm. You know what I mean? And so, like, everybody has a right to create, their own culture and everything it is that represent them. Problem is with our people, most of our people, is that they think that if the European didn't do it or they didn't say it, that it ain't correct. Well, our ancient ancestors didn't have no Europeans over them telling them how to come forth with their language. They didn't have Europeans over them telling them how to come forth with their literature and their history and so forth and so on. So why our people think that we need the European to tell us, what it is that we demonstrate? I ain't saying that you don't read information and study. Don't get me wrong, family. I'm saying that when do you create your own? You see, and so we base everything that we have off a foundation of what come from our ancestors and what has been evident, in the records. And we just were able to see, a little further than most of those who call themselves chematologists, Egyptologists, and so forth and so on. So the literature that we will bring forth as a result of what we are bringing forth now will be far more superior than that of the Eurocentric doctrine. You see? And so, again, we got to give honors to brothers like this brother Mustafa Gadala, a native-born Egyptian, a native-born Egyptian. You see? We give honors to this brother because he go in on the European. But the Egyptian alphabetical letter of creation cycle, that's what it deals with. It deals with gematria. And all you doing is basically taking, again, the atomic mass. And then once you take that atomic mass, you convert it into letters. And once you convert it into letters, you're going to come up with a word. And you follow the definition of that special word, is going to more than likely tie in with the atomic mass as it relates to it. And this is how we're able to come up with things such as, again, like the Grand Secretary of the State was just showing you, you know, the measures dealing with the water, dealing with purification, and water is synonymous with knowledge too. So when the prophets say, keep your hearts and mind pure with love and your bodies clean with water, water is synonymous with knowledge. You often hear the idiom that Islam is a vast ocean of knowledge. You see, if you want to dive into it, dive into it. And that's the same thing when it comes to this information. That's why you hear me say, I'm like the well of Zim. I never run dry. You see? And so when we deal with that as special measure, though, everybody need this, and it ain't a whole lot to be read in here as far as dealing with a big book, but it's a lot in here. They say dynamite come in small packages. But this particular work is powerful. This brother is scholarly. Just to give some background to our people who don't know who Mustafa Gadala is, I call him Twin Spirit with my chairman, because just like the chairman was beating the Eurocentric mind set up here in that NBC mind set up in the Exhuman of a Nation, Mustafa Gadala beating that Eurocentric academia. He called them Western academia. He beating them up in these particular works. And his works coincide with what it is that we teach in our paradigm. That's why I chose the path of a lot of his literature. Now, when we get deeper, we give honors to brothers like Muata Ashby, you see, as well, coming from our particular scholars. Ra'u Nefer Ahmed, dealing with the book Medu. That particular book, when you deal with Medu, I got him right there behind me. If you notice, he's not talking about no pictures. In the book Medu, you see him talking about the tree of life. Muta Ashby deal with that. But you got a lot of our people say, oh, they didn't talk about no chakras in Egypt. They didn't talk about no tree of life. That's pseudo. The word pseudo, again, family, we got to stop letting people do that. We got to start checking people for calling people that. That word pseudo, for the so-called non-Bible believers, you'll find it in the Greek definition here. And this word is translated as a liar. You see? So if somebody calls somebody a liar, then the burden of proof is upon them to prove that somebody is a liar. Other than that, you demonstrate slander. And so some people try to hide behind that word pseudo because they don't want to deal with the information. Some people try to hide behind that word pseudo because they can't rebut what's being said through means of scholarship. So they use a word that allows them to demonstrate a cop-out measure. So they can cop out. Just dismiss it as pseudo. But that's what the European did with what our ancestors taught. You see what I'm saying? So most of our people are using these tactics, against each other. You see? And this is right here, this is crazy. It's insane. Because what they do is that they make it hard for those who are babies and learning to learn the truth. And I know in our paradigm, Prophet Noble Drew Ali say, woe unto those who scatter my flock. You know what I mean? So when you get into all this stuff here and you go to talking about that and, calling people pseudo and saying that they don't, they ain't bringing this truth and that they teaching that, and you got to be able to prove that, family. And most of them can't prove it with me. So they rather dismiss and act like try to ignore what's being said or make people think that this is crazy. I want to give honors to our people out here too. To the Queen showed up in the building today, Sister Sakina, and also our Sister Niambi. We give honors to you, Goddess and Queen, for always showing up and represent, powerful measure. So yeah, when you get into a lot of this stuff right here, family, like I said, and I want our family to get hold to this one right here too. You might as well, get hold to this same book here, because this particular book and work, also goes into a grand history when it comes to dealing with giving our people some insight into the self. I love the way that they give definitions in here, but it's strange that people would take certain words, out of books like this and say that they don't honor religion or they don't honor spirituality. Don't make no sense to me. You see what I'm saying? You can find it. All you got to do is look at it. We got our tools over here and we know how to work with them. We know how to work with them, family. And so that's the key. You can read all you want to, but if you ain't got no comprehension, if you can't comprehend what you read, you might as well put the book down because it's doing more damage to you than it is helping. You see what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. You hear me? So that's where we at with it. But this is a powerful work right here. And another thing I want to say too before I get off here and I pass this thing back to our Moorish king. I made an emphasis on this right here the other day, but I'm going to do it again using the hammer of repetition. It's for you so-called God slayers and God haters, saying that the ancient Egyptians didn't demonstrate, deity and all that right there. This your guy right here. Now, I gave this book away, over 25, 30 some odd years ago. But I went on ahead and reordered it again, right? And I like this particular version because it has the transliteration and the translation in it, right? So when you get into this particular work right here, and you go to talking about the supreme being, a God, he's mentioned in here a couple of times. You'll see him mention the name God. Anytime they mention the name Neteru, if you look into this book, the word God is being used there. You see that right there? So how you gonna say you Kemetic and you say you don't honor the reality of a God, but it's throughout the whole book. You say you honor E.A.R.S Bug. You say you honor it. You say you believe that what he has in his translation, based upon the pictures to you, that he is right. So if he right, then that means that you got to accept that every time he used the word God in here, under his definition, he got to be right too then, right? So, you make yourself sound crazy, when you reject deity and then you accept his translation as the truth. What is he talking about when he say that right there? When he used that word right there, what is he saying? Now, we know the ancient Egyptians talking about the God within the self, the God self. You see what I'm saying? So we know what's being said. He in you. You represent the deity. You represent God. In fact, the most important aspect, you see that this word is symbolically expressed as a flag that is planted in the ground. Some people like to say axe, but that is not an axe, family. That's a flag. And even in some aspects, they call it the ayat neter, A-A-T, which is where the word ayat comes from in the Arabic language, A-Y-A-T. Ayat means ensign. In the Kemetic language, ayat also means sign or ensign. So the ayat neter means the sign of neter, the banner, the flag of neter. So when you look at the flags and banners that represent nations, they first came forth as ensigns. So do you think it's strange that this word, again, I'm going to put it up here again. We're going to say it live for the ones in the back of the room. If it represented nature, and sometimes you'll see it depicted with him planting it in the ground, a nature planting the flag in the ground. If it represents this, then that means the flag is really a representation of the original man who represented the principles which the flag stood for. In this case, what did nature represent? Nature would represent what we call harmony, truth, balance, right order, and justice. That's what we call Ma'atic law. And we just so happen to receive those same principles in the form of love, which is harmony, truth, right? Balance, which is peace, right order, right? Which goes in the aspects of freedom, and then justice. So our principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice are rooted in the Cometian mystery system. You see, our flag represents God himself. That's why you see the scimitar. The scimitar that you see in our flag represents consciousness. The scimitar is sheathed within our consciousness, and the principles are embedded within our heart, which is also synonymous with the consciousness. So we represent a living manifestation. I'm showing you this is how you deal with Medu, and that is an actual anaglyph in that what they like to call hieroglyphics. The scimitar and star is in Kemet. We showed it to you earlier, so we ain't got to go back and show that to you again. Those who ain't seen it that may have arrived recently, you can go back and look at the video. But my thing is, now that we understand this right here, and we go into the aspect of understanding, the concept of the supreme being of God, what are we referring to here? Because he actually gives a breakdown on that here, but I won't go through reading it, at this particular time. I give it on another measure. But I'm just saying we got to get our priorities straight, people. When it comes to this information, we got to stop cherry picking. We got to stop this selective research, and really, there you go. You better say it, Sister Niambi. You see what that queen said? Say it again. Sister say, some people comedic whatever makes me money. There it is. And that's what's going on. Our people are being fleeced, and this is what's going on, Queen. You said it right. It's all about money. Whatever make people money. And they're not dealing with, what we call the 12 crown jewels. In the Moorish paradigm, the way we teach, coming from the Egyptian Adept teaching, because we deal with what we call the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca through the ancient Kemetic teaching. That's why you hear us teaching like we do. But you will hear the last of the 12 crown jewels are food, clothing, and shelter. Meaning if you seek knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, those are the first, that deal with the three. Then you deal with your love, your truth, your peace, freedom, justice, and equality. All of that will bring the food, clothing, and shelter. But if we do this as a collective, I keep telling people the more we work together, the easier it makes for us to obtain that in which we seek. The more we work against each other and in opposition to each other, it makes it hard for us to obtain, what it is that we seek to accomplish. You see, I keep telling our people the problem ain't money and finances. Yeah, we know we need these things to live or whatever the case may be, but that's not our sole problem. Our sole problem is a lack of unity. And I keep saying that if you give 60 million of our people $1 a piece, that's $60 million. So that shows you our problem is not a lack of financing. It's a lack of unity. So now if you take them same 60 million people that we trying to teach and raise up and resurrect, oh man, and they got $10 a piece, 60 million people with $10, you know how much money that is? What about 60 million with $100? See, that's what I'm trying to show you, family. In unity, there's strength. I didn't say that. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the Egyptian Adept master, said that. He said, more in unity, there's strength. But he said some of our people were going to throw away their nationality for a morsel of bread. Man, let me stop running my beak over here, because I can go all day, man. When we get to talk about the prophet stirring up the ethers, the Moors, real Moors, can talk till they get white around the mind. So let me call forth at this time my Grand National Secretary of State, so we can hear some of the, that wisdom from Mother Ma'at, the Grand Goddess. Islamism, you there, goddess and queen?
Close as a thought.
Islamism without the schism. If that ain't Aliism, they gonna know it.
Islam. Much gratitude to you, Dr. Shaheed. Also, gratitude, Consul General of Texas, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay, for the measure that you brought forth. And you know what? This just has been such a grand class. Gratitude to our panel, our family online. Um, repetition is key because every time we go through these special lessons, if we are sincere and earnest in our journey and our studying, taking it beneath the surface, we're going to unfold. We're going to receive revelations. And it's these revelations, being able to hear our brothers and sisters without um, judgment, without a closed mind. But we don't know. Um, we may have been searching hundreds of years for a particular lesson that may have come out in this special class. So we give honor and gratitude to the question, and we give honor to the answer. Because the more we unfold, the more we find out that we are the question and the answer. But we've got to have that strong foundation of truth to be able to unfold. Because if I didn't know that I was a Moorish American national, let's say, or if I didn't know that spirit man can't die, then I could be jerked around by my fear of death. So when we get these truths and we make it applicable to the self and just continue adding on to how beautifully and wonderfully we are made, and just with the demonstration dealing with sacred geometry and how the music ties with the language, ties with the people, ties with the land, goes back to your creator. We come from a source of divinity. So this is just a grand measure. And it makes even more profound the circle, which is the symbol of the perfect man, So we give much honor to our ancestors, for maintaining these keys and these truths, and to our prophet for bringing it forth. So gratitude more for always being at the ready. As you stated, the well of Zim, praise Allah. Because you cannot banish the truth. It's going to come back in greater force because truth is also an attribute of the Creator. So gratitude more for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. Islam.
The Islamism Grand National Secretary of State. Powerful measure. That's right. You couldn't have said it better. Oh, we. Well, all right. Well, let us call forth, our other brother Scribes. Islam, y'all there, brother High Priest? We done heard from the High Priestess.
Islam.
Islamism Grand Man.
Islam and yeah, I see I did the we were supposed to get the element and then go from the element backwards, right?
Yeah, you go into the atomic mass and you take the first number in front of the decimal, and then
I did it the other way.
Convert that into the letter. Yes, sir.
That's where my confusion came from. I did it backwards, but I see the measure and why, what I'm saying, looking at it, how it unfolded into seeing the hydrogen trace itself back, even as well as, the prophet said, a mastermind can trace itself back. So therefore, if we taking it from, the levels of that, when we're looking at the phonetical markers of what a Moor is, it traces all the way back to Egypt. That means that, like you said, what your forefathers were, you was your forefather were yesterday, you are today without a doubt a contradiction. So therefore, if what we are, we're going to be that no matter how far we trace it back. So therefore, that's just an added something I got from the lesson as a whole. And then when you're looking at it shows that the reason why those 7 degrees of being the 7 degrees of self-mastery has all those different sciences, because everything is linked. It shows, right? This class right here shows that every single thing is linked to each other. You can't have math without the science. You can't have language without the math. You know what I'm saying? So it all ties into each other. But to us, it was separated. You know what I'm saying? And even if you look at school, there's demarcation in what they teach. You got a science teacher over here, you got a math teacher over here, yet they don't know how to infuse it all together to bring it all together, as you see underneath our government, and then our school self-mastery, how it unfolds. You know what I'm saying? So there's just a lot to it, and Islam, gratitude for that understanding. Islam.
Islamism, this is a book that goes into that too. What you were just speaking of, brother.
I got that one.
Yeah, dealing with the secret flower of life.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good book that goes into all of that in relation to dealing with the creation. And a lot of people don't know these different shapes and forms that you'll find in this particular book here. Everything in creation has a shape that goes to it, and the shapes are the sacred geometry. Once you have the knowledge in reference to dealing with the mathematical properties, you actually can demonstrate heka and command over these special things. So it's a lot of powerful diagrams in here dealing with that. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, we armed up over here when it comes to this scimitar consciousness. We don't always get up here pulling books out, but we just want to let our people know we got them and show our family we ain't making this stuff up. We done did the research. So, documentation always beat conversation, though. Islam, we give honors to your brother for that thought. All right, Consul General of Texas, Brother Marvin Nathaniel was Bay.
Islam, can you hear me?
Oh, loud and clear with divine ears. We hit a
Yeah, had my mic on mute. Gratitude. Yeah, I just want to say gratitude again for you, God, man, for all that you do, all that you've done, all that you continue to do. Because, I mean, it ain't easy teaching our people, and I'm in that boat too, So it's a striving, especially when we haven't been taught, our language, custom, our religion, our creed, we didn't know anything about any of this. So this is new to, I say, all of us. And as I continue, like I basically have been focusing on what the prophet brought. But, as I ascend and expand my mind, I can, incorporate a lot of these other teachings, which only bear witness to what the prophet brought. And as we went into this this particular lesson here, it reflects. I reflect back to when we first went into this gematria, and I kind of see where I got stuck at. You know what I mean? Because when we're going to the mass, 9.9, I take it to be 10. But like you were saying, we only use the value before the decimal point. You know what I mean? And so that would less complicate my endeavor, because I'm such a particular type of individual, but to a fault. But but I'm gratitude for you and your explanations. You know what I mean, and your illustrations, but you're making it plain. And gratitude for our National Secretary of State with her demonstration. That was the most powerful one, and I definitely have to keep an eye on the head of the class, and Dr. Batu Bey, and I know he got all kind of knowledge over there. You know what I mean? And I appreciate him always being on the scene and always giving up that truth. That's what it's all about. And I'm learning, I'm growing. I got the stick and stay power, so I'm not really going anywhere. Gratitude, God, man, for all you do. Gratitude, Morris. Islam and peace.
Gratitude, Islam and peace. And in closing out, I would like to read a measure from the Egyptian alphabetical letters of the creation cycle, for our family to get a drawing as well. The brother was speaking in here and he gave some powerful measures. You know, he spoke on the sequence of the creation cycle. And he said that the sequence of the creation cycle, the creation is a sorting out, a given definition of bringing into order of all the chaos and undifferentiated energy and matter and consciousness of the primeval state. All of the ancient Egyptian accounts of creation are exhibited with orderly, well-defined, clearly demarcated stages. We have seen how an orderly creation in the form of an atom, the complete one, emerged out of the pre-creation chaotic state of Noon, the nothingness. Throughout the ancient Egyptian texts, we consistently find how one state of being develops, or better yet, emerges into the next state of being. And we always find that any two consecutive states are images of each other. Not only is that scientifically correct, but it is orderly, natural, and poetic. The Egyptians were famous for writing these scientific philosophical subjects in poetic forms. Just like the sequence of creation as it unfolds, each stage contains all subsequent stages. The first letter A was associated with all the other letters, and all the other letters were associated with the A. The section B was associated with all other letters, and the other letters were associated with the letter B, and on and on. Then he went into Tehuti, Adet, and Seshat, letters and numbers. While Thot or Tehuti represents the divine attribute of spoken and written words, his female counterpart Seshat, is described as the enumerator, denoting the divine significance of numbers in the ancient Egyptian traditions. So when we're working with the gematria, Tehuti brought forth the letters, Seshet brought forth the numbers. You see? So it says numbers conform to the arrangement of natural things. For most natural things were established by the Creator's order in orders. Both language, thought, and numbers, Seshet, it says, are simply two aspects of a single scheme. Numbers are the underlying basis of letters. For both the ancient and the Baladi Egyptians, letters can be transposed into numbers and number codes to reconstruct the true meaning of a certain writing. That's what we demonstrate with the anaglyphic formulas, right? Transposition was extensively used by the Egyptians. Letters and numbers are reservoirs of divine power. Magic squares utilizing letters in a grid in both the phonetic and numerical aspects have been used by many mystics. The letters form meaningful words or formulae. See, like I was telling you, that formula, right? And the sum of their numerical equivalents, when combined in prescribed ways, is significant. The letters usually add up to the same number vertically, horizontally, or diagonally. Such magic squares were often used as amulets in ancient times and were very important in medieval mystic practices. The basic axiom of the science of letters is the interaction between letters and their relation to numerical proportion, which initiates in the reader the activity of constant association. The concept that the nature and secret of a letter is alive when it is compounded to form words, while words are correspondingly alive within creative things, is the basic principle of the science of letters. All created things move in different stages because of the constant renewal of creation, and the secret of all created thing lies in word. Apart from the combination and interaction of letters, the meaning of the term also operates on more than one level, mediating between the physical and the metaphysical. This is another important practice by Sufis, in their methods of communication. The Sufis believe that the word can be an important realm of mediating between the two worlds because it operates on several levels. It is referred to as a secret language, since understanding depends on the degree of the candidate's enlightenment. Numbers and letters are one and the same. To distinguish between the two manifestations in the Egyptian texts, numbers are shown upside down in positions of their equivalent, corresponding letters. An easy example for English speakers is the noticeable similarity between the number 7 and the letter Z. The letter Z is the seventh letter in the ABGD sequence. And then he spoke on the numerical values of the 28 letters of the alphabet, and he said each letter had an underlying numeric as well as phonetic value. The Egyptians used their alphabet letters as numbers. The number values commonly follow the order of the letters of the particular system, incidentally affording scholars further corroboration of the standard order of the letters, going from 1 through 10, with the next letter equaling 20, then 30, then up through 100, and with the next being 200, and so on. When the letters were exhausted, new signs of doubled letters were used to represent very large numbers. There are two ways in which alphabetical characters may be employed as numerals. The letters may either be taken in their alphabetical order, in the initial letters of the words denoting the numbers may be similarly employed, right? The above alphabetical corresponding numeration system were clearly utilized by the famous ancient Egyptian Leiden papyrus, J350, which confirms that number symbolism had been practiced in Egypt at least since the Old Kingdom, 2575 to 2150 BCE. A copy of which was reproduced during the reign of Ramesses II in the 13th century BCE. Since on the back of the papyrus there appears a journal dating from the 57th year of that pharaoh, the Leiden papyrus consists of an extended composition describing the orderly stages of creation cycle in poetic stanzas. The stanzas are actually called mansions of the moon and are numbered 1, 2, 10, 20, 100, 200, 800. Each stanza or mansion begins or ends with a word play on the number that heads it. When it said, my father's house, there were many mansions. If it were not so, I would have not told you. It says the number of mansions or stanzas follow their corresponding alphabetical order of the ABGD sequence. Each identifies its creation stage role in the creation cycle. For example, a complete list of ABGD letters and their corresponding numbers. Check the beginning of this book, which I showed to you earlier, the 28 AGBD letters and pronunciation. So it goes into all of this, dealing with the 28 and how it deals with the cycles of the moon. And this is why Tehuti represents the lunar deity, or we can speak of I. All of this information that we are given here, family, is very important for you to come into a knowledge of. But in my father's house, there are many mansions. If we are looking at this in the likes of dealing with the alphabets, there are many, words to be manifested and attributes to be expressed when we deal with words and alphabets. Think about it. When you deal with just the English language alone, look at what has been compiled. But then when we go into another culture and look at their language, they have compiled what they compiled with letters as well. So there's much wisdom to be learned by our people if they will but learn. So we give honors to your family. We're going to keep bringing these teachings from on high. And at this time, if we will, we can call on our brother, if he's able, Brother Marvin Nathaniel Evans, Bay. You can close us out, Grand Man. You be able to do that?
Islam. Yes, sir.
Islamism. Gratitude, Grand Man. We love you.
Gratitude. Let me get mine.
Islam, hold up. because I know our chairman be on the manifest. We want to call and see if our chairman have anything that he would like to bring forth. I know he be on a mission sometime on the weekends. But is our chairman here, Grand National Secretary of the State?
I say Islam and peace. It's Islamism. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you loud and clear with divine ears.
Man, let me give praise to Allah and the Prophet Noble Dwali, and say much honor to Noble Dwali for bringing us the wisdom, and so that the nature of the human family of nations can depend on us for the next goal, because we got a mighty mission to do. And I want to give much honor to all those that participated in today's class, and those that is yet to come, because we still got another class coming. So it's an honor, bless the Lord. We love you, and thank you so much, mighty one. Appreciate you. Love you. Islamism without the schism.
That's right. And you taught us well, Chairman. You taught us well. Islamism without the schism. All right. All right, family. Y'all heard from our chairman. And don't forget, y'all look and try to get this book, The Exhuming of a Nation. Now, I'm telling you, right here. That's our chairman. That's the author that you heard speaking right there. Again, y'all want to get in contact to get the book. The number is 434-676-1555. Again, that's 434-676 1555. This is the third heaven Egyptian Adept edition. So when you get into this stress measure here, family, like I say, man, y'all just, if you ain't read that book right there, man, all I know, I'm gonna just say it's terrible. But you got to get it and make it a part of your library. Trust me, it'll remove all the cobwebs of confusion. All right, Brother Marvin Edwards, Bay, you got it, brother. Islam.
Gratitude for calling me. And you're right, it ain't too late yet. And I begin. January 15, 1929, a warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitated speech while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nations. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race. and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. This meeting is now closed. Islam,
Islamism. Gratitude, grand man, for taking
gratitude.
us up into the heights of divinity. You know, we look forward to hearing from our family in our Sunday school class in a few hours from now. And honors to all of those who showed up. Goodness gracious. Honors to all the family. You know, again, out there in social media, Sister Sakina Robb, Brother Omar Thomas L. Bay, Sasha Bay, you know, Brother Noble Bryan, E. Bizzle, Raheem Shamari, honors to you. Niambi, Sister Niambi, Queen Niambi, Yaqub El Hamid Gamma Bay. We give honors to you, Sister Sina Renee. We give honors to you as well. Unqua Jet Saneb to you all. Again, that's life, health, and prosperity be upon you. Islam.
Chanel.
All right,
Great class. Gratitude.
Great class.
Powerful measures.
Great class.
Love you, family.
Love y'all.
Love you, family.
Gratitude. Oh, we see
Wee.
That's right. That's right. See y'all in Sunday school, boys.
See you, peace and love.
I hear a little angel.
Yeah, that's the grandbaby, one of them.
That's right. You see over there.
Oh,
That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking
got
about.
my granddaughter Milani with me.
It's love. That's what I'm talking about, Cherubim.
no.
We already know we got a future cherubim coming up, seraphim, and all that. It's love.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Well,
It's love.
gratitude, family.
Peace and love, boys.
Peace and love.
Islam.
No. Right.
Islam.
See you boys later.
Peace and
Yes,
love.
sir. Peace and
Peace
love.
and love. All right, family. We give honors to all of y'all. And we're going to keep bringing this truth on the manifest. This was a great class. I ask that you go back and look at the playback and, you know, do the research. I gave plenty of resources. I'm always do that every time I come on here. You can count on me. You know, I ain't got all this behind me for no reason. Just because I don't pull it out don't mean that it ain't up here. You know, so that being said, family, we love you, and we're going to close this demonstration out, and we'll see you in the next session. Peace and love, family. Peace and love.